Yes! Yes! Oh man. Oh man. What a great wild week of the NFL. A lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to go over. That said, I am going to keep the show relatively short tonight. If I don't have if we have enough time, I'm going to preview all the week 15 games, and I'll preview the point spread. If you check out the description below, I have all the picks for week 15. Friday's show, I was just tweeting out, and it looks like I'm going to have a guest. I'm going to have a special guest. I'm really excited about this because he does sports betting. He does all sports, and I'm pretty excited about this because you get somebody who can actually pick games correctly, unlike myself, who's had a terrible time picking games this year. I've just been doing a horrible job. And bear with me. I am having some technical difficulties here. I'm going to make sure I'm good to go. I believe I'm good to go on YouTube, but bear with me. I am having some technical difficulties. So, okay, hold on. Mute myself. Okay. All right. But yeah, I'm going to have a special guest Friday, it looks like. I'm going to just somebody who I just found out about. So I'm really excited about having him come on because he does all sports, and I want to bring some different perspectives. Something I've been wanting to do a lot more this year, bring some people on. So I'm really excited about this, pretty geeked out. I'm going to start this show on a sad note. Thanks to my boy Keys. I don't have his stuff in the description below, but he's been a regular. I've been on his show. He's been on this show, and he's done an A+ job. It was funny. He's putting together like a Twitter list, and I joked around and I said, he's like, who's your favorite people, and I put sometimes Keys, and he gets my sense of humor, so he gets it. Excellent follow. And I found this out like about an hour and a half ago from Keys. Was one of my all-time favorite coaches, Mike Leach, passed away. He was the University of Mississippi State's head football coach. He was at Texas Tech and then Washington State. One of my all-time favorite coaches. Just an amazing guy, amazing personality. It's not a big-time game because Mississippi State and Ole Miss have not been, in the top 10 at the end of the season at the same time. But that rivalry is one of the best ones in all of football. It's called the Egg Bowl. It's a great game this year. Mississippi State upset Ole Miss, which is coached by Lane Kiffin. And anyway, it's a sad story. If you do any sports betting, you could probably bet big on Mississippi State to win. I mean, this guy is beloved. You could YouTube Mike Leach quotes about just about anything, and they're going to be amazing. So I'm kind of bummed out about that. And we got the comments in here. Funk, what's good, buddy? Funk, man. Oh God, I'm very, very, very happy to hear from you, man. Very, very happy. I actually have. I haven't watched it yet, but they rebroadcast the Lions Vikings, the whole game. I'm going to watch the whole game either tonight or tomorrow. Going to rewatch the whole game, start to finish. So I can't wait to see what's going on. Slasher, it's playoffs time. It's funny because you're almost in a position to lock up the one seed. Man, what a big week, big game against the Giants. I'll be honest, there's a lot of sharp bettors that like the Eagles. I was kind of like, I don't know. 7.5 is a big number, and Jesus. Oh boy. Yeah, the Eagles look like the best team in the NFL. Jalen Hurts is my MVP. It's a close one. It's funny because there's not a lot of quarterbacks that throw for almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and have a bad game. That's what Mahomes did, and Hurts outplayed them. Right now, Jalen Hurts is my MVP. One Pride 40, the Lions are on a roll. Hell yeah, they are. Hell yeah, they are. Power rankings got us ranked 10th. I do not do power rankings. Do not do power rankings, but let me throw this out. Let me throw this out to you. Who's more afraid? Let's say Lions get into the playoffs. They're probably going to be a 7 seed. Probably going to be a 7 seed. So they play number 2 seed, which would probably be the Minnesota Vikings. Who's more afraid? Hatter's House 710 Lions. By the way, Hatter's House came on the show. He says, I do this once a year. And he goes, I guarantee a Lions victory. And what happened? A guaranteed win. Hatter's House calls this shot and it hits. Big time props to Hatter's House 710. Great job, brother. RIP to Mike Leach. Oh, dude, he was so awesome. Mike Leach is so awesome. I try to every year I say the same exact thing. I'm going to watch more college football. I'm going to get into it more. And I don't have the time, but I always liked whether he was at Texas Tech. He was actually Cliff Kingsbury's coach at Texas Tech. Cliff Kingsbury was the quarterback. Every quarterback was guaranteed to throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns in that offense. Great coach, great guy. College football got worse today. Very innovative, dude. And by the way, look around in the NFL. What Mike Leach did resonated to the NFL. I seriously, if I wasn't going live today, I might do a video regarding how I loved Mike Leach, man. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I was a Mississippi State fan, but everywhere Mike Leach went, whether it was Texas Tech or Washington State, I really liked. I actually kind of liked him at Washington State. It's kind of funny because that offense that he runs, it doesn't really work well in the Pacific Northwest, but he made it work. And when he went to Mississippi State, I was really excited because he finally got to the SEC and also winning the Egg Bowl. That's his last game. And by the way, that's such a big game. If you're not in the state of Mississippi, and I've just driven through Mississippi, I'm gonna pretend like I've spent a lot of time down there. One of the absolute best rivalries in all sports. I cannot emphasize the fans down there are just nuts. It's a great game. And Mississippi State upset Ole Miss, and it ended up being like a classic matchup. It was a great game. I don't want to go into too much detail about the game because then really resonate, but just very sad. Just really sad about Mike Leach. Swing your sword, yes. Shout out to them Lions. Great game. Vegas knew something. You know what? I'm finding out that it's more that Vegas doesn't like the Vikings. I looked at it as they're more on the Lions, but it's more just an anti-Viking sentiment. And what's really funny is that the Vikings get the 2 seed, who gets that 7 seed, and the Lions they're making a push. They're not there yet. So I'm going to bring up the standings right here. I thought I had it ready to go. So right now the Lions are in the 9 spot, and you have to be top 7 teams get in. So they're in the 9 spot, but they're only 1.5 games out. And the way it works out is that the number 6 and number 7 team is Washington and New York, and they both had the same record. They're both 7-5-1. So they're going to play each other. So one of those teams is going to lose. So one of those 2 teams is going to be 7-6-1. Where the Lions, if they win this week, they can be 7-7. So it'd only be a half game out. The Lions do hold the tiebreaker over the Giants. Unfortunately, they are right behind Seattle, and Seattle beat Detroit earlier in the year. So if you're a Lions fan, you need Seattle to start losing, and you also kind of hope the Giants fall apart. And the Giants' schedule gets really brutal at the end of the year. So you're basically your number one goal if you're a Lions fan is to cheer against Seattle. I'm going to watch the whole game, One Pride. If not tonight, tomorrow. Golf with Stones and Bombs against the Vikings. Amazement says, Dan, a guy eliminated on Survivor tip pick. Damn, Titans had a bad feeling about the game. Remember, I really thought that they were going to bounce back. I'll be honest with you. The Titans are a team that I can't. I seriously, I don't know why they're failing. I know they're banged up, but they've been banged up all year. I don't think injuries is a great excuse. But bottom line, they've been playing just bad. And Jacksonville's been playing pretty good. Jacksonville's been playing pretty damn good over the last couple of weeks. They're a team that I think going forward, say, give me the 4 teams in the AFC South. Give me the team that I feared most in 2023. It's easily Jacksonville. Jacksonville's a young, talented team with a lot of upside, but I was really shocked at home, especially when Derrick Henry had, I think in the first quarter he had like over 50 yards on a carry, and I was like, oh, this is going to be another Derrick Henry big game. They're just going to control the clock. They're going to pressure Lawrence. Titans are going to get back on track, and it didn't work out that way. The Titans are. I mean, they're 7-6. Jacksonville's 5-8. Sooner or later, Tennessee's going to turn it around. But it's just, yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. I mean, dude, you lasted till week 14. That's not bad. I don't know if you get anything for that, but yeah. Slasher, so the way things are shaping up in the playoff picture this year, with a little luck, my Lions will be in the building for your first playoff game this year. Well, you'd have to get to the 5 seed to play Tampa Bay, and that's not going to happen. And the reason why is that you're going to have either Dallas or Philadelphia. More than likely, Dallas is going to have that 5 seed. So that's not going to happen. But what you would do is that you would either play San Francisco, which has a chance to wrap up the division this week. They could Thursday. So on Friday's show, we may be talking about the NFC West winners in the San Francisco 49ers, because if they win the game Thursday against Seattle, they lock up the division. So you wouldn't play Tampa Bay, but you would be in good shape to play the Vikings again. And I'll be honest with you, like who doesn't want to see in the first round of the playoffs Vikings Lions in Minnesota? Like I would be like the game people would be circling. I mean, it would be great. It would be great. And seriously, it wouldn't surprise me if the Lions won. It really wouldn't. You are 100% correct, Funk. Funk says every game is a playoff game for Lions here on out. Yes, absolutely. They lose, they're pretty much out. They're pretty much out, but you could be honest. To be honest, though, like, could you be 9-8 and get into the playoffs? Yes, but you're going to need some help. You're all of you guys become 49ers fans Thursday, so we could be looking at Friday as like, hey, this is a big game. This is a big game. Super Saiyan Lions, how about them Lions, Dan? Yes. The Vikings, didn't I call it? You did call it. One Pride 40 called it too. I don't remember the score prediction, but you did say it. You did say it. So, yeah. I almost hit my prop bets, but Kelsey got held out of the end zone. It's a weird Broncos-Chiefs game. Seemed like they got bored or something happened. Same thing with Dallas. Yeah, Chiefs-Broncos, weird game. So, all right, so I don't want to go on a rant here because I'm already looking. I'm behind on comments, but I have like a superstitious thing with the Chiefs. So what I do is at the end of every quarter, I go take a good luck shower. So what happened is I like this I DVR the games and I skip through so I can skip halftime. I can skip the commercial. So the game starts at 3 Central Time. I started watching around 4:20, 4:30. I watched the Red Zone. I wanted to check out everything. I was checking out all the highlights. Sometimes I go back and forth and watch a few plays over again. I look for things that not everybody looks for. I look for blocking schemes. I look for a lot of different things. Anyway, so I'm watching the game. It's 3-0. Then the TV. I get the circle on the TV, and it happens every now and then. So what happened is YouTube TV just glitched, and the score went from 3-0 to 27-7. So it went from like I think 5 minutes in the first quarter to live, which was at the it was either at the start of the third quarter or the end of the second quarter. So I was like, oh, I don't have to do my good luck showers. It's 27-7. And then bam, bam, bam. So it's my fault. Yeah, crazy. Yeah. Chiefs, Broncos. I'm one of those weird Chiefs fans. I finally went to Denver. It's actually called Black Hawk, Colorado. It's just outside of Denver. Went there several times this summer. Loved it. Denver, as far as I'm concerned, Black Hawk's really just like a suburb of Denver. It's just fantastic place. Broncos fans, great place. Mountains are beyond beautiful. Great fans. I told you they would spank the Vikings. Yes, you did. The Jets game concerns me. It should. The Jets game should concern you. You're 100% correct about that. That's a big game. That's a big game. Yeah, I made sure I told Dan on a short video not to put his money on the Vikings. You did, Funk, and I appreciate that. No betting till after Christmas. So, no betting for me personally till after Christmas. So I would have bet on the Vikings. No lie, I would have bet on the Vikings. I love that game. By the way, I was wrong. Lions fans, I was wrong. I picked the Vikings. I don't think anyone's taking a 1 seed. So it's not locked up because the Cowboys are 10-3, and I think you have to play them twice. Let me take a look here real fast because you did lock up the playoff berth. I think you have to play Dallas twice. I don't remember. No, you don't. You only have to play them once. No, you know what? You could lose the rest of your games. To be honest with you, I'm looking at this now. I'm trying to figure out the playoff, what you have to do to clinch, and you're automatically. By the way, the Eagles didn't make the playoffs. Dallas is only 2 games back with 4 to play, so you're not guaranteed to win the East. Because you hold the tiebreaker over the Vikings, it's more than likely the way it's going to work out is you're going to be a 1 or you're going to be a 5. So, yeah, I should put guaranteed guys, including the NFL guys, took some of his concepts, and he's talking about Mike Leach. Oh, dude, Mike Leach influenced just college football and the NFL. So, yeah. Dan got all this dating advice. Keys, yeah. By the way, Keys turned me on to this. I knew this already, but this is something Keys tweeted out was that he's just going to watch like Mike Leach talk about anything. Mike Leach talks about dating, weddings, history. I mean, just so much fun, man. No idea where Mike Leach, one of my all-time favorite coaches. So. Imagine Lions making the 7th seed wild card, face the Vikings as 2 seed. That would be fun to watch. I'm actually rooting for that to happen. Rather see the Lions and Giants or Washington. I would too. This literally could happen. Lions Niners could also happen. But yeah, if the Lions make it, you don't want to play them. No, you don't, because they have a few things that you really fear. Number one, they're hot. I went through, and it's funny. I found one team, and I forgot who it was off the top of my head. They ended the season losing 4 out of their last 5 games, and they won the Super Bowl. But there's a lot of times all you got to do is just end the season on a hot streak. You just got to get hot at the end of the year. That's the one thing. So you're hot. Number 2, you're healthy. All right, Jameson Williams has come back. You're more or less relatively healthy. I mean, there's a lot of NFL teams that are, have like 4, 5, 6 starters down. Like take a look at Dallas, San Francisco. This is a true story. You're not going to. I actually got a phone call. I got my phone right here. The 49ers called me and asked me if I wanted to play quarterback, backup. True story. So you're hot. That was a lie. You're hot, you're healthy, and you also have a really good offensive line. The difference between this Lions team and the Lions teams for the last 5-10 years is you have playmakers on both sides of the ball. You have players on defense that can make plays, and you also have players on offense that can make plays. You got a guy like Jameson Williams. Nobody knows what he can do. First catch in the NFL was what, a 42-yard touchdown? I mean, he's a guy that can come in and have one of those playoff games that people are talking about for the next 50 years. Let me give you an example. I think it's a 1986 playoffs. I may have the year wrong, but I believe they took place in 1987, but it was the 13-2. They only played 15 games. 13-2 49ers, maybe the best Niners team of the 80s. Maybe the best Niners team of the 80s. And they played, I believe it was a 7-8 or 8-7 Vikings team. Anthony Carter blew up. He had 11 catches, 227 yards, like 3 touchdowns. Vikings won that game. Eddie DeBarlo almost fired Bill Walsh after that game. He was so pissed. But you get in the playoffs, weird things like this happen. And the Lions are one of those teams that if you get into the playoffs, like you don't want to play this team because they're getting in hot. They're healthy. They have a very good physical offensive line. They have playmakers on both sides of the ball. There's lots of holes with the Lions. There's lots of holes. Let's not pretend like this is a dominant team here. There's lots of holes. But when they get in the playoffs, if they get in the playoffs, I said when, but if, they're a team that people don't want to play. They're a scary team. To be honest, I would be more afraid of the Lions than I would the Giants if I had to choose just between those two. Same thing with the Seahawks. I mean, and Pete Carroll, there's a lot of things there. But I mean, and one thing, Goff's actually gone to the Super Bowl. I mean, he's a guy who's playoff battle tested. So. Seattle plays Thursday. We have a lot to talk about Friday. I took Justin Jefferson over 95.5 yards at the clock. Yeah, Jefferson blew up. I got the game on DVR. I'm going to watch the whole thing. Slasher for your Lions to play in your first game. You mean the Lions won in the wall? Yes, that would be true. So Lions fan will be rooting for the Chiefs in a couple weeks. Which game? Yes. The Chiefs play Seattle in 2 weeks, if I remember right. Yeah. All you guys are. Well, here's the thing. Funk is a huge Chiefs fan anyway, so I've been rooting for the Lions each week, and you should be. They're a fun team to watch, man. Me too, Slasher. I took over. Good job, guys, for taking that prop bet. That's a good one. Seahawks are actually the one remaining game. I have a sleeper upset for the Chiefs. Yeah, and the only reason is that they have a winning record and they're fighting for the playoffs. And the Chiefs have this weird thing where they just, kind of fall asleep at Lions versus Eagles would be a fun one to watch. Obviously, I have the Eagles winning, though. Yeah, I mean, they played week 1. Was it 38-35? Very close game. Best guess. Oh, this is a great one, Keeves. Best guess on when Brady plays next year. I think it's Tampa. I think he comes back. I think he comes back to Tampa Bay. I think he reunites with Bowles. And I think 24 minutes into the show and I have my first name freeze. Oh, God. University of Marshall quarterback. Should be an NFL head coach. Byron Leftwich. I think Leftwich comes back. I think Bowles comes back. I think Brady comes back. I think everybody comes back. And I think they just say, hey, listen, this is bullshit. And it's either that or if they go on a tear and win it all. The other one would be, and I would love this to happen. It would never happen, but I'd love to see him go to San Francisco. and play for his childhood team. The fun fact, the catch, if you know your history, the 1981 NFC Championship game called the Catch. Brady was at that game, attended that game. So Shanahan really wouldn't want Brady. It'd be too weird, but I would love to see it. I would love to see. I would love to see, like, let's say Arizona cleans house. I wouldn't mind seeing Brady play 1 year at the Cardinals, but I really firmly believe, I'd say over 80% that he's going to end up in Tampa Bay next year. I think Tampa Bay is just going to kind of rally the wagons and say we're going to do it. New York and Washington play each other. Plus, they have 2 other games against quality teams, and Seattle's a rougher schedule on the Lions. But there's a way. There's a way for the Lions. Yes. Well, they can lose one. They can lose one because you can get there at 9-8. But ideally 10 wins get you in. What do you think Arizona should do now? Is Cliff done? Should they clean house? Murray probably won't be back until Thanksgiving 2024. Tough break. By the way, I was going to lead off with this. For those of you who don't know, I was trying to figure out about Russell Wilson. I couldn't find anything on Russell Wilson. But Kyler Murray's out for the year. The way the injury is, and being as late as it is in the season, he may not be able to play till mid-season. And that's a tough one. I think Cliff Kingsbury's done. I think even if Kyler Murray doesn't get hurt, I don't think they win this game. Nothing against Arizona or Kyler Murray, but I don't think they win this game. I think that I think you really do. I think you clean house, and the problem is that Kingsbury's offense is perfectly custom tailored for what Kyler Murray can do, but Kyler Murray is such a unique talent that you can't really replace a guy like that. I actually think the team looks better with Colt McCoy, to be perfectly honest. I know that sounds crazy, but when I watch Cardinals play, they seem better with Colt McCoy under center. It'll be an interesting team. I'll be honest with you. I do think Cliff's done, but I don't know who takes over. If you're a Chiefs fan, you've heard Eric Bieniemy's name. He's the Chiefs offensive coordinator. He's been getting some pub as a head coach candidate for the last several years. And it's weird because the publicity keeps on going down and down and down. But his contract's up this year. I don't think the Chiefs really want to bring him back. And he's a guy that I think, and I don't know. I want to say deserves a chance, but maybe he doesn't. I hear the same thing. Everybody says he doesn't interview well, but it's kind of a touchy issue. Basically, he's a black man, and the NFL doesn't have enough black head coaches. The NFL's made public they want more black head coaches. His resume deserves it. I'm hearing the same things. He doesn't interview well. There's been issues with him and Mahomes getting into it, him and Travis Kelce getting into it. When I watch the Chiefs play, Patrick Mahomes goes straight to Matt Nagy. I think Matt Nagy, the former offensive coordinator, he took over as the Bears head coach, came back to be the quarterback coach. I think the Chiefs really want Nagy to be the offensive coordinator. I think they want to move on from Bieniemy, but Bieniemy has not been able to lock down a position. This might be the year. And Arizona, I think, would be a good job for him, to tell you the truth. But yeah, I think as far as clean house, they have some veterans, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. I think that you just bring in a new head coach, and then what you're trying to do is that, for the first 8, 9, 10 weeks, whatever it is, you just want to hang around 500, and then Murray comes in, and you got a playoff push. That's kind of what I think Arizona's going to do. But I think Cliff Kingsbury's gone. Should they clean house? I wouldn't do that personally. I wouldn't just go clean house because they have some young talent on the team on both sides of the ball. I think the team's built well. They had a lot of injuries this year. A lot of injuries. They're a team that if they were healthy, I think they could be a playoff team. So, yeah, I'm not too sure how the playoff picture is going to shape up. What it looks like. Well, here's you know what Let me get caught up. I'm gonna make sure I get all caught up on all my comments, and I want to go over the playoff picture in the NFC. San Francisco, Minnesota, round one, and with a win, they would play the 1 seed. That's right. Yeah, they would play the 1 seed. If I was in the playoffs, I'd be afraid to play the Lions. You should be afraid to play the Lions. They're a healthy team. They're a talented team, and they're on a roll right now. They're a scary team. Niners should be careful. Quick turnaround after a big win. Purdy, first game on the road, will be loud, and Seattle's desperate. Wouldn't be shocked if Seattle's won Thursday. The problem is Purdy may not play. He's banged up, and Deebo Samuel's going to be out for a couple weeks. This is a big game. Seattle is an underdog, and they're a home dog, and that makes them dangerous because they're desperate. Pete Carroll's an excellent coach. And you know what? They got talent, and San Francisco comes in really banged up on a short week. So yeah, this is a big game Thursday with big time playoff implications. And the big thing is if San Francisco wins, they do lock up the division. Yeah, early wouldn't the score like 48-45 or something crazy? Topo got outscored by the worst offense in the NFL. Yeah, the Chiefs, it was so weird, man. It was so weird. So I went from watching the game at 3-0 to 20. Then I went back and I rewound it, and I was kind of mad. I was mad at YouTube TV and anyway. Go ahead. I'm ranting. I was close. I said 35-17. You did say 35-17, I believe. Who I thought before the season Jets Lions would be such crucial? I know. Who would have thought Lions Jets playoff implications abound? Danny, he calls me Danny Showers. It's a great porn name. Slasher, last time the Lions kept touch with his hand on the dirt, they didn't have Pascal Jacobs or Comiskey. Oh, they didn't have J-Mo. Team looks different now, Bud. I get it. Speaking of playoffs, congratulations. If it's a free league, you can't bring it up here. I don't do free leagues, but anything. I don't care if it's $5, $100. If you need some help, if it's a pay league, hit me up. You should follow me on social media if you don't. A lot of these guys are great social media follows, especially on Twitter. Follow my boy Keys. He put together a list. I'm on that list. So I really thought the Jets would die off after all the injuries. Kudos, Salah's slowing. He's done an excellent job. If the Jets get to the playoffs, he has to be a coach of the year candidate. I didn't like this head coach hire, to be honest with you. I thought it was a bad move because you're bringing in a young quarterback, inexperience on defense. He just turned the defense around. And then when Wilson had problems, I think he handled it correctly and just benched him. And I think that's how you do it. And you're going to see if he can handle it, because some guys have mental makeup to just go to work, and then other guys fall apart. And if he falls apart, that's not the guy you want leading your ship anyway. And it sucks. It's a second overall pick in the draft, but you might have to cut ties with it. Just like Cleveland did with Baker Mayfield. I'm not suggesting doing what they did and go all in on a quarterback, but I mean, you brought up Brady. When if Brady was quarterbacking the Jets in 2023? I mean, that'd be a lot of fun, to tell you the truth. Good luck at one Friday at the 4th seed. My fantasy league is a 3-way tie for second. Bye. Congratulations, guys. I've been meaning to do more fantasy stuff on this show. I don't, because I don't do it. So, but yeah, I really should get out more tips. Follow me on social media. If you have any questions about your fantasy football league, you need any help, you can always hit me up. Oh, we got some trash talk here. I don't think those guys are big impact players besides J-Mo. Last time the Lions played the Eagles, ran all over them. The Eagles have stiffened up the run D, held Taylor, Barkley, and Henry. I love the trash talk. We haven't even started. We're kind of assuming that Lions are in. So good luck to you as well. Under 100 yards. Lions stiffened up 2 Slasher. If the Lions match the Jets defensively, Lions win because their offense is – Mike White took some massive hits, and Joe Flacco's the backup. I don't even know if Wilson's active, to be honest. I should have known that. They have some talent offensively. I was huge on Breece Hall, the rookie running back. They also have some holes on their offensive line. It's a tough game. It's a tough game in New York. That's going to be a big one. Unfortunately, it comes on the same time. Chiefs game comes on Sunday, so I'm not going to be able to watch Lions Jets. I will watch rebroadcast. I'm going to watch. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to watch Lions Vikings either tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to watch the whole game. Otherwise, you don't think they're impact players? They just keep making plays. I don't think the Eagles have many weaknesses. Teams don't throw for 300-plus yards on us. The main problem, they had run stop, and they went out and got Sue, and also Joseph and Davis is coming back. The Eagles, for my money, are the number one team in the NFL, period. I mean, I don't do power rankings, but if I did, you'd be Eagles number one, and they're a dangerous team. And I love they're able to run the ball. They can stuff the run. They have a good secondary. There's a lot of good things to like. I wonder if Campbell would stay true to himself as a coach if they made it all the way to the conference championship. As stakes get harder, it's harder to go through the crazy decision. Yet the fake punt was brilliant. I've criticized Campbell. I don't think he's a really good X's and O's guy. I was very critical because I don't think the rah-rah shit works in the NFL, and it has. So Jimmy, 1 over on the Vikings. Great pick. Taking the Lions +1 against the Jets. Riding the wave, baby. Riding away. By the way, Jimmy, if you go below in the description, I have all my picks and the score. You can find out what I think about the Lions Jets. We think about the Brady story of him doing secret plays and changing up game plans night before the games. I think it's partly why our offense. I did not hear about that. I didn't hear about that. I'm going to tell you something. It's more common than you may think where quarterbacks do audibles or just call plays. I don't know how old you are, but there was a movie. God, it's hard to believe it's 25 years old now, but a movie called Any Given Sunday. I think it's the greatest football movie ever, where he just starts calling his own plays in the huddle, and it causes problem. It happens a lot more in the NFL than you may think, and a lot of it is the contracts. I mean, these quarterbacks are guaranteed. I mean, what are you going to do? Bench Rodgers? You're on bench Brady. I wouldn't be surprised if Mahomes, gets a call on the radio and just, 5 to 10 times a game just says, I'm going to run this instead. So Denver Gators in the house. He's drinking the blue Kool-Aid. Yes. I love it. Weird thing to say. I would fear the Lions over the Packers. I right now I would too. Green Bay is so beat up. Green Bay is, by the way, this is so crazy. Green Bay, Carolina, and Atlanta are legitimate threats for the playoffs. This is really, I don't think, technically the Saints are. I don't think the Cardinals are. I think the Cardinals get one more loss and they're out. The Saints at 4-9 technically could make the playoffs. They look beat up though. I still think the Lions have a defensive problem. They're fantastic at scoring, but Kirk Cousins completing 75% of his passes, so 425 passing yards is pretty stifling. Let's be very clear. Let's be very clear. The Lions have a lot of holes. Okay, this isn't one of the top 5 teams. They got a lot of holes, and there's a pretty good chance they're not going to make the playoffs. Let's be honest. There's a pretty good chance they're not going to make the playoffs. But if they do get into the playoffs, they're a dangerous team. Are they built for the playoffs? No, they're not. They're really not. When I say built for the playoffs, a playoff team has a solid running game, a good defense, and an A+ quarterback, and they don't really have those things. But are they a dangerous team? Yeah. But the Lions were 1-6. About 6 weeks ago? They're 1-6. I was saying, yeah, coach is on the hot seat. Everybody could go. They could drop an atom bomb, use all these draft picks. If I'm the Lions, I kind of bottle up my enthusiasm, put it on the shelf, and I use it in 2023 because you're going to get what are you getting right now from the Rams? I'm looking through here. I think it's the 4th overall pick in the draft, plus you get your first round pick, plus you get the Vikings second round pick. You're going to get 4 draft picks in the first 2 rounds. And if you can, if in the NFL, if you draft 50%, if you hit on 50% of your players, you're an A+ GM. So if you get 2 quality starters out of those 4 picks next year, you're a playoff team. So anyway, I'm sorry for the ranting. I'm really behind on comments. I'm gonna try to get to everybody. Even though I'm behind, give me a thumbs up anyway. Give me a thumbs up anyway. Because Lions don't have anything to lose and score points is in bunches. Hutchinson has started to come on too. It could be a factor. Could be a huge factor. I was very adamant that this was going to be the pick back March, February. I said this is going to be a pick. He's going to be a good player. People also would rather play the Hawks. I would rather play if I had my choice in the playoffs between Seattle and Detroit. I'd rather play Seattle. Come on, man. The Chiefs are my 3rd AFC team. Ironically, the Jets. Really, I didn't know that. I know about the Raiders. I didn't know about the Jets. Moving time zones is killing me. Turned on at 6 at usual. It's fortunate to see the Picks video live. Great video, but I love the evolution, man. Thanks, brother. Yeah, how's it being on East Coast time? It's kind of weird, isn't it? It's going to take you a while to get used to. The weather here is fantastic. I have not even been outside yet, and it sucks because it's like 50s. Tomorrow maybe 20 and rainy. I'm sure it's below freezing in Florida. Number 2. All right. That's all. Like I say, the Lions are a great young team, bright future ahead. Absolutely. Bright young future. Slasher right now, all y'all favorites to represent the NFC, even in my eyes. But yeah, the Eagles are a dangerous team, man. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun to see who gets those last playoff spots. But I think universally everybody's looking at the Eagles as the number 1 team. So Slash, I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about run deep. Thanks, Funk. We are absolutely hammered on the Kool-Aid. Want some? He doesn't realize we only allowed 62 yards in the game in a row the last 6 weeks. Your run D looks great. Love Hutchinson. What will they do against Smith, Goddard, Brown through the air? Eagles. Already talking about Eagles. And James, welcome, brother. Yeah, the Rooney Rule. So, God, I don't want to get banned from YouTube here, but that's kind of the reason why Bieniemy probably will get a head coaching job this year. If he does, it's because of Rooney Rule. Well, Kudo will be on Brown. Let Houston lose on Hurts. All right. Slasher, your run game is the Eagles' bread and butter. Pride. The Eagles can beat teams with or to without the run. Jalen Hurts, ninth in passing yard. I don't think it's run game 1 pride. God, this is actually awesome. But I mean, the Lions and the Eagles aren't playing in the playoffs yet. I would love this to happen, though. I don't think it would be much of an easy test on defense. It would be on offense. Still think the Lions have one of the best offenses in the league. If we do our offense technically complete, defense needs to tune up. It's Patricia's fault. This is funny. Patricia hate. Slasher, consider you have 7 games. They scored over 30. I say it's good offense, only a good team. I'm the 3rd seed in my fantasy playoffs. Been a rough season for injuries and underperformances. Keith, best of luck, brother. If you need any help, you can always hit me up. You got all my information. I think the NFL should move up the Jets game to prime time. The Lions deserve a move up. Seriously. Well, hold on here. What is the prime? No, the primetime game's Giants, Eagles, and they flexed that one. I don't remember what the other one was, but yeah, you can't. I mean, nothing against Jets, Lions, but you'd rather see Washington, New York. But I would love to see the Lions flexed in the next couple weeks. Like, okay, let me take a look here. I'll try to keep this fast. Well, you can't do it. You can't do The only one you could do would be week 17, and it would be really hard because you could flex that game. Week 17 would be January 1st, and the Sunday night game is LA against LA, which is Rams and Chargers. The Lions would be Chicago at Detroit, and no offense, I mean, so you couldn't do that. Week 18 would be Lions at Green Bay. If both teams had a chance, there's a chance that one get flexed, but you're not getting flexed this year. And no disrespect. I mean, just marketing. The Giants are always going to be more popular than the Jets. So, and even though I'm behind on comments, give me a thumbs up. Swift and Williams are a good tandem. Dan knows I've been praising J-Mo since the draft. I think it would probably be a shootout game again, depending on the Eagles. This is actually really awesome that we're talking so much about Eagles Lions in the playoffs. I love it. I love it. I had a quarterback question for my money league and fantasy, Dan. I got Fields versus Eagles, Brady's versus Bengals, Goff versus Jets. Oh, man, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. Okay. All right, so first of all, I love the Eagles defense against Chicago. By the way, I already checked out the weather report. The only one I don't know off the top of my head, New York and Chicago, the weather is going to be good. I don't know what Tampa Bay weather is going to be like. It shouldn't be a hurricane or anything. I didn't check that one. All right. With Fields, you're going to get a garbage time touchdown, and you're going to get some rushing yards. All right. He's probably going to go over 60 rushing yards. So I don't know the way your scoring system is going to work. More than likely, you're going to get over 60 rushing yards and a touchdown, probably between 150 and 200 yards passing. Maybe you get a touchdown, maybe you don't. Goff against the Jets, that's a really good defense. That is a really good defense. I would steer clear because I think that if you do win that game, you're going to do it on the running game. You're probably looking at about 200 to 250 yards through the air, a touchdown, maybe two. Between Fields and Goff, I would definitely go Fields. Both those are low. I would go Brady. And I know it's going to sound crazy. I know it's going to sound nuts because Cincinnati's playing red hot. I would take pissed off Brady. You're in Tampa Bay. You tell me. I didn't check the weather down Tampa Bay. Is it going to be a monsoon? Is it going to be 35-mile-an-hour winds? I expect Brady to bounce back. Of course, I expected to bounce back last week. I would take pissed off Brady because I don't think Fields or Goff, neither one of those guys have a big game. I would take Brady. Let me know how you do, and let me know which one you take. Amon-Ra has been playing fantastic. 2021 head coach hiring Siani, Campbell, Salah, Smith, Staley, Coley, Meyer. Meyer, Coley, Staley could very easily be fired. I'm drawing a blank on Smith. But yeah, I would. You're gonna hate this. I would flip Salah and Campbell. I think Salah's done a better job than Campbell by like this much. I'm so sorry. Great. By the way, this is a great list. One Pride, great list. I don't think the Eagles are better than that. That's interesting. AFC, NFC. I think the Chiefs are still the best team in the AFC, despite the way they've been playing. They don't match up well with the Bengals. So this is why I don't do power rankings. That's interesting. I think the Eagles are better than the Bills, but that's interesting. These are two good. This would be a fun play. This would be a fun Super Bowl. This would be a great Super Bowl. I think they'd match up well with the Bengals. The Eagles actually would match up very well with the Bengals. This just might sound biased, but Goff versus the Jets. I like Fields versus the Eagles. Our defense doesn't play many running quarterbacks. They may get some points for you. Secondarily, I pick Goff over the Jets. X Factor on my fantasy team is Miles Sanders, in my opinion. Only thing he will play a ton since Eagles everything locked up in week 16. I got cooked too. Vikings may have it locked by then. Pay attention to that. Miles Sanders is amazing. He went over 1,000 yards rushing. One of my all-time favorite players. Love that. Love that guy. Campbell knows X's and no, he's not total meathead. Hey, look, I was wrong. I thought he was kind of a meathead, and he seemed to get outcoached quite a bit. Time management's a bad thing. But yeah, hey, look, I'm wrong. I mean, the way he's gotten this team, and the fake punt was brilliant. Whether it works or not, it's brilliant. Justin Fields gets freaky. Goff is a B+ quarterback. God, I don't know about B plus or B. B plus or B. Oh, I got a wooden spoon. Mama says dance a devil. Yeah. I love The Water Boy. I love all the Adam Sandler movies. I love all that Adam Sandler movies. I love all of them. I'm a huge Adam Sandler fan. I loved him. It's funny because every now and then I'll get somebody I respect on social media and they'll go, yeah, tuned in Saturday Night Live and it sucked. And then so Dave Chappelle, he was on and I heard a lot about his speech. So I watched it and then I watched like a few minutes. The show is so bad now. Growing up, Saturday Night Live was so good, folks. I started watching when Eddie Murphy was on. Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live for me is like the gold standard. It was so good. And then you had Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, like Sandler, Farley, David Spade, very underrated. Those guys were so good. And then you had Kenan Thompson, Andy Samberg, Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig, like those were all like super funny people, all super talented. Bill Hader's amazing, Andy Samberg's amazing, Kristen Wiig's amazing, all those. And I tried watching. They got some. It's not even funny, man. It's not even good. The one thing I will say is their new segment. Colin Jost and Michael Che are amazing. Like those two are good. Dan, drink the Kool-Aid. It's in the description. Check out Lions Jets. Holmes is it? Yeah, Holmes done an excellent job. Official Savage, I'm here. I said L for you. Yes. I will eat it. I'm glad you're here. By the way, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. It'd mean the world to me. And when I am wrong, rub it in my face. I earned it, man. Great job, man. Big win too. Big win. We've talked a lot about Lions. There's a lot of Lions love here. Jets has always have a soft spot for me since the most underrated running back of all time was there. Oh God, I love Curtis Martin. Oh God, how far are we? Oh God, I love Curtis Martin. One of my all-time favorite players. Okay, so he went in the third round. He's the third round draft pick only because he injured his knee his sophomore year at Pitt. But as a junior was a Heisman candidate. He was just amazing as a junior. I loved Curtis Martin and Bill Parcells loved Curtis Martin. I'm going to release it. I'm going to start over from scratch, and I'm going to do a top 10 running backs of all time. And I may have the list. You'd have to dig through my playlist. I don't know if it's there or not, but Curtis Martin just outside the top 10, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because he's one of my all-time. If I had to talk like top 10 favorite running backs of all time, Curtis Martin's in there. When I do top 10 running backs of all time, Curtis Martin's going to be like 11 or 12 on the outside looking in. It breaks my heart. Do you guys remember when we used to timestamp? I'm not that bad. So I'm not that bad. James Houston, HBCU kid, literally second most sacks for rookie. He's only played in 3 games. You know what? Seriously, you guys told me about him, and then when I watch the Lions, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And I know nothing about him. I'm not going to lie, I know nothing about him. You guys this is kind of the reason why I started this channel. Is I wanted guys from 31 different fan bases to tell me about players I don't know about. I didn't know anything about James Houston. I think you or one probably brought up Houston. I thought you were talking about Justin Houston, who's by the way playing lights out this year. I know nothing about the kid. All I know is that the few times I watch the Lions play, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Yeah, so. It would be. Giants are always going to outdraw the Jets. That's just the way New York is. And no disrespect to Detroit at all, but Washington's always going to be a bigger media market. Well, maybe not always, but right now, bigger media market than Detroit. So yeah, this would be a good week to flex, and I would love nothing more if the Packers and Lions were playing for a playoff berth last game of the season. It'd be great. Gary, what's up, man? Dan, how's the weather for Sunday night game? Does Leonard Williams play? I don't know the stats behind Leonard Williams. That's a big one. The weather's actually not going to be bad. It's going to be nice. It shouldn't have an impact one way or another. Both teams are pretty built similarly. It's going to be a fun game. It's good to see you, brother. And Leonard Williams is a guy that he needs to play for the Giants to have a chance. I don't know one way or another yet. When to watch game, you'll be amazed with golf. You heard it. Okay, I will. Arthur Smith. That's who it is. His granddad is. His granddad invented FedEx, Federal Express. Yeah, that's the same Arthur Smith, and he's actually an excellent coach. When you said Smith, I drew a blank. Yeah, it's Arthur Smith. I think Brian Leftwich would be a great head coach for Tampa. You know what? He actually might be. Brian, I really do. I think if Tampa Bay loses the first playoff game, I think there's a good chance that maybe they just come back and kind of bring everybody back. Brian Leftwich is going to be an NFL head coach. I think Tampa would be a good spot. We know Carolina's going to be open. Seriously, Carolina should take a look at Leftwich. A lot of people feel like the Chargers job is going to be available after the season's over. Leftwich in LA. I think Leftwich, your dream situation would be the Chargers. You get a young quarterback. You have to do the contract because he needs to get paid. Justin Herbert's needs to get paid this year or next year, and that's going to be messy. Chargers have always been really bad at taking care of their superstar players. So. Leftwich is a big time candidate. I kind of got a weird feeling like everybody's going to come back to Tampa Bay for next year, but we'll see what happens. This is going to be a big time story because he's one of the top candidates to be a head coach. I don't think Jets had to play a team with as many weapons as Detroit. Miami. They Miami. I saw a good question on a stream. Higgins, Amon-Ra, and Garrett Wilson. You have to cut one. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, God, what a good one. Okay. Amon-Ra is my number one. I kept on saying for years he was a number two. He's a number two. He's a number two. And he's a number one. So, yes. So Amon-Ra would be the one that I would sign. Oh, I'm sorry. It was a cut one time. Okay, I'm sorry. Amon-Ra is my starter. T. Higgins and Garrett Wilson. Boy, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with sign Wilson and cut Higgins. Mason, that's a good one. I would start Amon-Ra. I would sign Garrett Wilson, and I would cut T. Higgins. That's a tough one. Denver, how's your Kool-Aid, brother? Yeah. Key's got it. When everyone's calling Dan a meathead, I always said that everyone called John Madden a meathead position coach and didn't know X's and O's. You're right. You're right. A lot of people said that about Madden. Highest winning percentage of any NFL coach is John Madden. Nobody knows this. Nobody knows this, but Madden, highest winning percentage of any NFL head coach in NFL history. Everybody knows him as a video game. I had Hurts and Sanders last year, and Sanders' usage screwed me over this year. I wasn't able to get Hurts again, but I was able to pick. That's going to be a big signing because they're using him quite a bit. Sanders is such a good player. I loved him. I had a huge man crush on him coming out of Penn State. So it was funny when he first signed. He thought he was going to be like a tag team with Saquon Barkley, and they're like, no, we're going to just roll with Barkley. Sit your ass down. and he was a little frustrated, but he stayed at Penn State, and it's kind of funny. Like he's legitimately a top 10 running back, very underrated player. Love Miles Sanders. My running back room is Sanders, Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson's great signing. Jonathan. Oh God, you got. Oh wow. Oh God, that's a good running back. My guess would, I'm kind of curious, how are you going to play these guys? You can hit me up. Because I mean, here's kind of my thought process. You're going to start Sanders. You're going to start Taylor, flex CMC. Dude, hit me up. Let me know what you do. That too. Oh God, Eddie Murphy. Yeah, we're about the same age. And then Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live was just gold. I don't know how long it was. I'm going to say 10 years ago. I could be wrong, but like Andy Samberg, Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig, Kenan Thompson. There's a skit called "What's Up with That" always just cracks me up. It's just I love the "What's Up with That." If you haven't seen it, so Kenan Thompson just gets on. He has this band. The guy who's on Portlandia, I can't think of his name. He plays like the saxophone, and he always has like 3 big name guests, and then he lets one of them talk for like I'm not doing it justice, but it always cracks me up, and it's really good. But yeah, I think it was 10 years ago, and Andy Samberg used to crack me up. Like I thought that dude was funny. It's funny as hell. Bill Hader was awesome. Kristen Wiig was talented. Fred Armisen, that's the guy also I left off. But yes, those guys are really good. But oh God, Eddie Murphy is buttweed. Eddie Murphy used to do this James Brown hot tub party. I don't know if you remember that. Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood used to crack me. I'm not that bad. Gary, my Super Bowl prediction is the Eagles beat the Bengals 35-27. My Super Bowl prediction for next year, Jets beat Giants 40. That would be awesome. Watch out for the Lions. Drinking a Kool-Aid. Insert Kool-Aid voice. Oh, yeah. That's more Randy Savage. I'm not good at voices. Official, haven't the Jets played the Dolphins? Hard for me to say Lions have more weapons than the Dolphins, or maybe it's a quality versus quantity argument. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. I would say Miami has more weapons. You have Gesicki, Jalen Waddle. I was referring more to Waddle than Tyreek Hill. It's funny. A buddy of mine just messaged me about his hatred for Tyreek Hill. Chiefs fans are still bitter about Tyreek Hill. I don't get it. But you got Jalen. Every time I watch Miami, except for last week where Waddle didn't do much, but I always watch Jalen Waddle. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is good. Mike Gesicki is awesome as well. I think that they got more weapons. Quality versus quantity. That's interesting. But I would say which team has better weapons. I'd say Miami. Detroit has a much better offensive line, though. Would the NFL flex our game with the Falcons week 18 if the division's at stake? Panthers may leave it decide. Let's take a look here. Week 8. I mean, there's so many games that could be flexed. Week 18, Baltimore, Cincinnati, that could be division. That could be division on the line. New York and Miami might have playoff implications. Trying to see here, Dallas at Washington could have playoff implications. I think the NFL would love to flex Dallas and Washington. New England at Buffalo. I would love to see New England and Buffalo have playoff implications. Buffalo may be resting guys. We don't know. I mean, that could be very interesting. God, a lot of these games could be really good. Tampa Bay at Atlanta could be for the division. I would love that. There's so many good games. I would love to see the NFL flex Detroit. I mean, I would love to see it. It's just that there's really not a time except for week 18, and that's only if Green Bay gets it. I seriously, I knew nothing about the guy until you guys told me about him. I'm not on drugs. I am going to drink an energy drink. I am jacked up, though. $11 or $12. Manny is one of two running backs rush for 1,000 yards in each of his first 10 years, 10 straight started career berries. I know. Funk, I know all of this. I really do. It's hard. Curtis Martin's a guy that I on my top 10 list, I probably would leave Curtis Martin out. The hardest thing about the top 10 list is I got okay, 1, 2, 3 is easy. 4, 5, and 6 you could flip in any order. 7 and 8 I think it's 7, 8, and 9 I got down. 10's the hardest one because there's so many guys that I could put at number 10. I could put Frank Gore. I could put Curtis Martin. I could put Earl Campbell. If you're a Broncos fan, I mean, he's not, but you can make an argument about Terrell Davis. Floyd Little's a guy people don't know about. Go through your NFL history. Marion Motley, Red Grange, Hugh McElhaney, Steve Van Buren, LaShawn McCoy actually broke his single game Eagles rushing record. Thurman Thomas. Did I mention Thurman Thomas yet? I mean, there's so many guys at 10. I'm actually going to release that list. I think I'm going to do it after the Super Bowl. Maybe you know what, Funk? Let me tell you this. Maybe I have to come back in and revisit the list and put Martin at 10. Or 9. Probably 10. Well, I'm going to probably release this after the Super Bowl. Do you think McDuffie will be in Rookie of the Year talks if he was healthy this season? Obviously, it's Sauce McDuffie. McDuffie was a good pick. If he was healthy, I don't think he's Sauce Gardner might be the best corner in football, period, and McDuffie's not on that level. If the Houston Texans weren't such a disaster and he was healthy, Derek Stingley would also be in the conversation. Excellent pick, though. He's a guy that is going to be if he can stay healthy, he's going to go to a couple Pro Bowls in his career. Joshua Williams, our 4th round pick, is also playing really, really good ball. My favorite Adam Sandler is actually Punch Drunk Love. Favorite Will Ferrell movie is the other guy's favorite comedy of all time is Bruno. The best of 3 reality TVs he did. Okay. Punch Drunk Love, I've never seen. Isn't that like Sandler's first movie, if I remember right? It's like on a cruise ship. I've never seen Bruno either. The Other Guys is very underrated. If you haven't seen The Other Guys, it's extremely underrated. There's so many great quotes. This is actually funny. So my buddy designed this system at work. He called it Gator. And he goes, well, you know why I called it Gator, right? And I was like, no, I have no idea. And he goes, Gator got to get some shoes. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you haven't seen The Other Guys? And I was like, no, what is it? And he's like, Dan, listen, Dan, just do me a favor. Go home, please. Go home, watch The Other Guys. You're going to thank me. And I was like, because this is a cool guy. His name's Jed. Doesn't like football at all. He calls it sports ball. And he'd always make fun of us for being football fans. Weird guy, but really liked Jed. Jed was a great guy. And he's like, go watch it. And I was like, all right. And I was like, oh, Will Ferrell. All right, let's check it out. And I loved it. There's There's a couple scenes in that movie that are just nothing short of brilliant. Never seen Punch Drunk Love or Bruno. My favorite Will Ferrell movie, though, The Other Guys is really good, but man, I call it Ricky Bobby. I know it's not Ricky Bobby, but if I said Ricky Bobby, you know what I'm talking about. That's might be my favorite. Is Step Brothers is also really fantastic. Every time I watch Step Brothers, there's always something I see for the first time. It's like, God, that's really brilliant. The scene where what's his name, Adam McKay is singing "Sweet Child of Mine" with his family, and he's just like telling his wife how much she's. It's okay. I'm sorry, ranting. But great list. I'll watch Bruno one of these days. I'll actually add it to a playlist. If the Eagles and Bengals played each other, and the Eagles D would give the Bengals. I think that this is why I don't do power rankings, because certain teams match up really good against other teams. I think the Eagles would give the Bengals a ton of problems. I think that if you're the Bengals, like that's one of the few teams that I think would really cause you a ton of problems. And seriously, I think the Eagles offense matchups really good with the Bengals D, because you have a run heavy offense. And even though Logan Wilson, somebody put it on Twitter, I don't know if it was you or no, it wasn't you. Logan Wilson's one of the best linebackers in football. Nobody's talking about. Yeah, that would be a. I don't know that. Adam Sandler movies are weird because they're either hysterical or terrible because it's family kind of expected. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. I 100% get it. I 100% get it. Dan, you think I'm all right? Bengals DC gets absolutely 100%. 100%. He's going to get interviewed. Even before the Chiefs game, he was getting a lot of consideration. I don't know his background off the top of my head. He may be interested in one of these college jobs. We just talked about it. It's sad, but somebody's got to take over as head coach of Mississippi State. That's a premier position. And that would be one that would be interesting. And it'd also be interesting to have an NFL guy. I don't know if and Enzamoro, I'm probably butchering that name. But he's going to get a lot of consideration. A lot of people feel like the Chargers job is definitely going to be available. The one thing about the Chargers, because you want the defensive mind, I see them going offense. So I don't think that he would go to the Chargers, but I think Carolina would be an excellent fit because they have a bunch of young, talented players on defense. That would be interesting. Trying to think here. I don't know how Arizona would feel because usually if you hire an offensive guy, you want to go to the defensive guy. But if I was the Chargers, though, I would take a look at this guy and say, hey, what do you think? Yeah, but I mean, I think it's a great point. Usually, not always, but usually when you have an offensive guy, you go with the defensive guy next time around. If you have a defensive guy, you go an offensive guy. That's usually how it works. And also, we don't know if the Chargers coach is going to be fired. We're all kind of thinking it's going to happen. And I still think it could if he doesn't make the playoffs. Leftwich to the Texans makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, especially when you consider he's right there in southeastern country. Because if you have number one pick, he probably knows quite a bit about Bryce Young, and he probably knows if he wants to work with Bryce Young or not. He probably already knows that right now. Even though he probably doesn't do a ton of scouting on the collegiate level, he probably has some inside information. And it's pretty safe to say Bill O'Brien's not going to be the head coach of the Houston Texans. So Leftwich would go to the Texans, and a big part would be is that I think he would have some conversation with the Alabama coaches, and hey, what does this guy do? What does he doesn't do? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that would be my pick. Yeah, I would start him on Raw. I don't amaze McDuffie's been good the games he's played, but he hasn't been taken out by Arizona's shit field. He would be able he still wouldn't be able to compare with Sauce Gardner is literally maybe the best corner in football. I know it's hard to say, but he might be the best corner in football. And yes, I'm really behind on comments. Sign Wilson, cut Higgins. Higgins didn't separate well. No, he doesn't. Do you think Giants will sign a free agent wide receiver after Kenny Galladay? They could get burned again. Giants seem to have bad luck for receiver. Absolutely, they could. What the Giants do in free agency is going to be huge because what do you do with Daniel Jones? I think you have Leonard Williams under contract. You have two young, talented outside linebackers. You have Kayvon Thibodeau. You also have Aziz Ojari, a third-year player out of Georgia. He was a second-round pick, so you either got to pay him this. No, it's year 3. Okay, so you can wait till next year, but you're going to have to pay some money. Edge rushers that are talented and athletic, like those guys, do not grow in trees. You got to pay those guys a lot of money. You got some holes in the secondary. You got to sign some corners. They usually don't come cheap. It's going to be – the Giants are a very interesting team this offseason because you have questions at corner, receiver, quarterback. There's a lot of holes for a team that might go to the playoffs. So it's kind of interesting. And what do you do if your first round draft pick? Do you draft a quarterback? Do you draft a receiver? Do you draft a corner? That's going to be very interesting. The Giants are a very interesting team this offseason. Outside of Hill and Waddle, Mozart sometime was Miami have. We have Monrod, Chark, Williams, Reynolds, Mitchell, Wisp. Well, they have Gesicki. He's a Pro Bowl tight end. No offense, you lost yours. Gesicki was probably a better receiver than Hawkinson, not near a blocker. Gesicki's one of those, tight ends, like Travis Kelce's a tight end. And Gesicki's really good. But, you have Hill, Waddle, Gesicki. Those 3, I would, to be honest, I would take those 3 over those 6. I know it sounds like a dick thing to say, but no offense, but Hill and Waddle, both those guys, I think I would put above Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I love St. Brown. And then Gesicki, I might put over all those other guys except for Amon-Ra. Gesicki's really good, folks. Gesicki's really good. I watched him at Penn State. He ran a 4.53 at the combine. He ran something crazy at the combine. He's like 6'6", 6'7", 250. Former all-state volleyball player. Like it was weird because I watched him at Penn State. He didn't run like a 4.5 guy, and at times he doesn't move like a 4.5 guy. But bottom line at the combine, he did run a 4.5. So you're leaving Gesicki out. I would put Miami's weapons over Detroit's. But I also did have the Vikings winning last week, so what do I know? That's it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's how I would do it. Wide receiver room is DK, Christian Watson, Cooper, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, Brandon Ayuk, McCall Hardman. Ooh. You know what's tough is it's really tough is DK Metcalf because he's going against a really, really, really good. Well, actually, they're not good this year. But God, what do you do? That's a tough one because DK Metcalf seriously could have 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. He could have 3 drops and a fumble. That guy's just up in the air. Christian Watson's been hot lately. Against the Rams. God, that's a tough one too. You got Cooper. I wouldn't bank on Williams. I know he had a touchdown last week. Brandon Ayuk could have a huge game. That's a fun one. God, I'll be honest. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. God, that's a good group though. That's a good group. If you're going to flex CMC, you take 2. I'd probably go DK and Watson and roll the dice. That's a tough one. I think Miami could be a one and done in the postseason. What good teams do you think will make a surprising quick exit in the postseason? I mean, we really don't have it set in stone yet, but let's just look at some of the playoff possibilities. Um, let's go. Let's start off with NFC. The Vikings are probably the team. They don't have a good defense. They're so hit and miss. First time head coach, I think is dangerous, especially what they have to do. Minnesota's a team I would be very worried about. I would be really worried about San Francisco. You got a young quarterback, a lot of injuries. They're a team that they're going to play. Let's just line up the teams right now. San Francisco could play Detroit. They could play New York. They could play Washington. I think they could have problems there. I really think they could have problems, especially when you have a young, inexperienced quarterback. Dallas, Tampa Bay in the playoffs is really fun because that it's kind of a fun game there. I mean, either one of those teams, whoever loses, let's just say Dallas plays Tampa Bay 4-5. Let's just say it. All right. The loser is a big story. The loser is actually a bigger story than the winner, but the 2 and 3 seed, Minnesota and San Francisco, those are two teams that can be that could be 0 and done. Forget 1 and done, 0 and done. In the AFC, Tennessee's playing so bad. I mean, they're probably going to win that division, but I mean, they're probably the way it works out. Tennessee plays Cincinnati in the first round. I mean, you got to take Cincinnati there. Baltimore plays Miami. That would be a 3-6. And by the way, you can't rule out the Jets or the Chargers. That would be interesting. But I mean, Baltimore Lamar Jackson, let's say he does play. He's not played well in the playoffs and he's going to be not even close to 100%. I would take Cincinnati over Tennessee. And then you could have Cincinnati against Kansas City or Cincinnati against Buffalo in the second round. That would be a lot of fun. Tennessee would be dangerous as a 0 and done in the playoffs, and Baltimore could be done. Miami might not even make the playoffs, even though they currently have the 6th seed. This would be a lot of fun, by the way. If the playoffs were to start today, this would be a very interesting matchup. Kansas City against New England. Great offense, great defense. Usually favored defense in the playoffs. So, oh God, Chris Kattan. Yes, he was very. Oh God, the Dick in a Box song. I'll never forget that. I was watching that with my girlfriend at the time. Crazy girl. It's kind of funny because like she was a nut job, and like she put on 100 pounds. Like it's kind of funny. Like men have an advantage in life. But anyway, we were watching that and like we had no idea. We saw it live and both of us like Saturday Night Live. Like that was like the best thing I think I've ever seen. Yeah. Justin Timberlake on Saturday Night Live is gold. I don't think he's done it in a couple of years. Anybody see the old Cincinnati meme with Chase catching the ball and still blocking or something? Yeah. I haven't seen the new one, but I remember the old one. Lots of people thought Cincinnati messed up by taking Chase, but yeah, I remember those. I forgot. I also picked up J.K. Dobbins when he was still in IR. So, ooh, Dobbins is really good, folks. I'm a big Dobbins fan. That's a different one. Oh yes, more cowbell. That was a great skit. By the way, Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken's one of my favorite actors of all time. Very underrated on Saturday Night Live. Christopher Walken does phenomenal comedy. Christopher Walken's awesome. Tyreek's still talking trash. You want to say, okay, yeah, a buddy of mine just texted me and I don't know. I don't know. I actually am like still a big Tyreek Hill fan. I'm the only Chiefs fan who's still a Tyreek Hill. He's significantly better. Gesicki's a Pro Bowl tight end. Mitchell's a backup. That's just my opinion. But again, I was wrong about the Vikings. So just so everybody knows in the chat a little about my personality. My alter ego used to be the Chris Farley motivational speaker. I would dress just like him. Chris Farley was oh God, Chris Farley was so good on Saturday Night. That skit, if you ever watch that skit, Christina Applegate is like the first time. The first time they did the skit was David Spade and Christina Applegate. Christina Applegate like does everything she can not to explode. Chris Farley is phenomenal. So what I did is one of these I may do it Sunday. My schedule is still very weird, but I want to do a Chiefs game. I want to announce a Chiefs game. I know some other YouTubers do it, so I thought about announcing a Chiefs game. It's a lot harder than it looks. So I was practicing announcing the game when that happened, and it looked really bad. If you I used to be a long time ago. I was big into boxing. And Russell Wilson just looked like a boxer who got knocked out. I mean, it was obvious when he was laying on the ground. He had that look in his eye. He was not there. And then on the sidelines, they had somebody holding on to him. He was kind of I mean, I used to watch a ton of boxing, and you can tell when a guy's knocked out. You can tell when a guy had his bell rung, and like Russell Wilson, like he was laying on the ground. I was pretending to announce the game, and yeah, it was really bad. Yeah, Matt Foley is just, oh God, Matt Foley was just the absolute best. If the Giants are still in it, would the Giants Eagles be flexed on the last Saturday night? Absolutely. Well, I think the Eagles will already lock up the one, but if they're fighting, like if the Eagles are in position and the Eagles and the Giants are in position, absolutely could be. Yeah, I saw Russ at nod on his forehead. I thought he was going to score on that play. Do you like Allen taking those unnecessary hits when he runs? I think it's okay because of his size. No, I don't. I've been saying this for a while. It's the dumbest thing Buffalo's been doing is because that type of punishment takes a toll on you. Take a look at Cam Newton. Cam Newton's career, I mean, seriously, Cam Newton should still be playing right now. But, I mean, he took so much punishment over the years. It has a long-term effect, and it will affect you in the playoffs. Russell Wilson, a lot of people think because he's short, he's small. No, he's a compact dude. He's like 225, 230. He's actually a pretty solid dude. Quarterbacks should not be taking those hits at all. Josh Allen could probably be an NFL tight end. He could probably be an NFL linebacker. He's a freak in nature athlete. No, he should not be taking those type of hits. It's one of the dumbest things. He's going to get hit like that one of these days, and he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, and Bills fans are just going to lose their shit. Tables will be destroyed everywhere. I don't think it's okay. Russ concussion was brutal, golf-sized ball. Yeah. So if you didn't see it afterwards, he had like a knot on his head. But before he even took his helmet out, they showed Russell Wilson's face, and I'm like, he's gone. He's not coming back. And there was no way that I knew instantly he was done. I was trying to figure this out before I came on. I couldn't find anything. I don't know if he's going to play next week. If I'm Denver, I keep him out for the rest of the year. I really do. Rippon, by the way, did not look bad. Brett Rippon was Mark Rippon's kid. If you remember, you know your NFL history, you know Mark Rippon. Yeah, I did too. It was really scary. It really. I watched enough boxing I knew instantly he was knocked out. Like I saw they by the way, A+ on the camera crew, they zoned right in on his face, and he had that look. I'm like, he's done. He's not coming back. Biggest NFL surprise team, most disappointing. I said, if you've been following me all year, I said Denver was going to finish dead last in the AFC West. People thought I was nuts. People made fun of me. But people, I went to Denver several times. They were thinking Super Bowl. So not for me personally, but the NFL. For me, biggest disappointing team would be the Colts. I thought that they were going to win the division. I mean, keep in mind they were 9-8 last year. All they had to do was beat Jacksonville and they get into the playoffs. They didn't do it. They have a really good defense, a good offensive line. They have Jonathan Taylor. I thought Matt Ryan was going to be an improvement. So for me, AFC most disappointing is easily the Colts because I thought that they were a team that could compete. In the NFC, obviously the Rams most disappointing. I wasn't sure the Rams would be a Super Bowl caliber team, but I didn't think they would be in line to get the Lions the looks like a top 5 pick. You could also put the Saints in there. Saints are very disappointing. Most surprising team, AFC, definitely the Jets. I thought that they could be a disaster. Very, very surprised. And I think it'd be great if they got to the playoffs. It'd be great for the NFL. I really think it'd be great. Give them a lot of credit. NFC, you got the Lions. I mean, at 1-6, I was thinking Adam Bomb, the roster, but really it's Seattle. I mean, everybody thought Seattle was going to be a in contention for the number 1 pick in the draft, and right now they're right in the playoff hunt. You could also say Atlanta, even though they're 5-8, they have a very good chance to make the playoffs. They really got screwed over in that Tampa Bay game, and if they win that game and they're 6-8 and Tampa Bay is 5-8, they would actually be above Tampa Bay right now. So, yeah. I'm not sure about the college football fans, but yeah, Mike Leach. And we talked about that earlier. One of my all-time favorite coaches. Last game that he coached in was the Egg Bowl. You know this because you're in SEC country, but the rest of the world doesn't know how big Mississippi State and Ole Miss is. It's called the Egg Bowl. One of the best rivalries in all sports. It was a great game. Mississippi State beat. I think Ole Miss was ranked 12th at the time. Mississippi State was, I believe, 7-4 and went to 8-4. Yeah, Mike Leach, one of all-time favorites. Biggest surprise team, Eagles. Biggest disappointment, Raiders. A lot of people were not really high on the Raiders. I was. I thought they were going to be the second best team in the AFC West. Technically, still could be. But yeah, at 5-8, they are disappointing to a lot of people. Really, I didn't know this. He may be interested. To be honest, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider, but I might be interested in that Mississippi State job. I don't know how appealing Arizona State is, but I also don't know if that Arizona State job's been filled. But if I was Mississippi State, I didn't know this, so if I was Mississippi State, I would reach out because that would be a great signing. You know, one thing that big time programs like to do is bring in NFL guys. Matt Rule, of course, took the Nebraska job. I don't even think we talked about that. That's a brilliant move by Nebraska. Bruno is one Cohen movie I laughed just as hard the first time I saw it. Punch Drunk is a drama movie, gets scammed by an bully. Okay, so it's not the one else. I was thinking it was something different. Adam Sandler's first movie supposedly got like a bunch of bad reviews. He just did it. He was a struggling comedian, and you just take anything you can get. But Punch Drunk Love, I don't know what that is. Then I'll have to look it up. But Bruno's, I've heard of Bruno. I've just never seen it. Oh God, this is seriously. I'm Ricky Bobby. Don't you big red gum? Then fuck you. Oh God. By the way. God, Ricky Bobby is, I know it's not called Ricky Bobby, but if I say Ricky Bobby, you know what I'm talking about. The scene where they're sitting around for dinner and he's, giving praise is probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like I've seriously, I've just YouTubed that scene. The scene always cracks me up. That's a great movie. Oh God, I didn't even talk about Green Bay. Why didn't I pick Green Bay? Yeah, Green Bay is my biggest disappointment team, biggest surprising. Great too. I want to take mine. Okay, all right. CMAC, Cook, Eckler, cut one, sign one, start one, go. Oh God, this is a tough one. Oh God, this is a tough one. Oh God, because I love Austin Eckler. He scored 20 touchdowns last year, didn't go to a Pro Bowl. How's that happen? God, I love Austin Eckler. Okay. God, this is so hard. Okay. I'm going to start Dalvin Cook because I think if 100% healthy, which if you're going for a whole year, if I had to start week 1 and I need one of these guys to stay healthy, I'm taking Eckler. Okay, for the whole year, I'm going Eckler start because he'll stay healthy. Then I'm signing Cook and I'm cutting CMAC because I don't have any faith that he can play a full season. If I'm going one game, I'm doing Cook. I'm starting Cook. I'm signing CMAC and I'm cutting Eckler. And that's kind of a weenie move. That's a great list. That's a tough one. I agree with that. Don't forget to discuss playoff scenarios. Oh God, yes. I am so behind on. I'm 15 minutes behind. I want to get through all these comments. Then I think we're going to be. Azeez Ojulari seems to be injury prone. Should Giants stay away from BJ Ojulari because of that? Would BJ fit the Giants? How would Cameron Ward Washington? I don't know too much about Cameron Ward, to be honest with you. There are a lot of people think that he'd be a first-round pick. I have not had a chance to go through that. BJ Ojulari, I don't know too much about the kid. I really don't know. I like Azeez Ojulari personally. I'm a big fan. Start CMAC, cut Eckler. For one game, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Gesicki has been lackluster this year. No catches in the last 3 games, 4 target in the last 3. Yeah, Gesicki has been relevant 2-3. Yeah, I think it also has to do with the way Miami. You have an inexperienced play caller. Now Miami scored a lot of points this year. Had some big, but Gesicki's very talented dude. He's a former Pro Bowler, so. If you're a Vikings fan, would you be concerned? And you say we really agree, Dan. That's exactly what it's funny. We do disagree a lot, but I have nothing but the utmost respect for you and nothing but praise. But we disagree a lot. Been a little tempted by Wilson versus the Lions D in a possibly shootout. Would like to know who to call. Okay, so it is going to be Mike White, and the weather's not going to be bad for New York. But Mike White is going to start, it looks like, but he's not going to be 100%. I mean, he's in bad shape. So Goff's been playing lights out, best football. Dan has a lot of man crushes on running backs. So surprised I'm going to take him up for a tight. This is pretty good. Chris Farley was the GOAT. You can go Belushi. You can go Belushi. You can go Eddie Murphy. What's her name? I'm drawing a complete blank on her name. Let's say Gilda Radner. There's a few. I don't know. I know it's sad. Belushi might be there. It's funny. Farley never considered himself as even on Belushi's level, but he was. I mean, Gilda Radner's one that I might put in there. God, that's a tough. Eddie Murphy for me might be the gold standard. But that's a good one. That's a good one. I have to think about that one. This is a good one, though. This is a real good one. Yeah, Eckler is so good, folks. If seriously, the one thing is, if you're doing the whole year, I would start Eckler because he's not going to get hurt. Or Dalvin Cook, is going to miss a couple games, and CMC is probably going to miss at least 4 to 6. I was just great. Yeah, he looked. Yeah, exactly. If you watch any boxing, he looked just like that. I used to be. You have to be an old timer. My favorite boxer was a guy by the name of Sweet Pea Whitaker, and I'll stand on this hill. I think he would beat. I'm drawing a blank. I want to say Moneymaker, but God, I can't believe I can't think of the guy's name. Undefeated, Moneymaker, TMT. can't believe I can't remember his name. God, I'm really talking about being punch drunk. But Pernell Sweepy Whitaker is probably the best boxer I've ever seen. I'll die on this hill. He beat Oscar De La Hoya in a fight and got robbed. I'll die on that hill. Yeah, with Cook, he can't stay healthy. Cook, in my opinion, out of those three, Cook's the one with the most talent. Cook's the one with the most talent. But Cook's going to get hurt. CMC's going to get hurt. Eckler's a workhorse. The most outrageous sort of the funny episode of SNL is the family table putting food in each other's. Oh, God. Yes, I remember that. Oh, God, it was, I couldn't, I was like, yeah, but it was really funny. Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's not smart. Does Mahomes' carelessness with the ball bother you at all? It kind of cost the Chiefs last year in the AFC Championship game. Like, no, zero. Doesn't bother me at all. It's the way the Chiefs play, and it confuses. But it causes it's risks most teams. It doesn't bother me. Some another Chiefs fan, it would. The answer for me is none. Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. I have Jalen Hurts as my MVP. I have no problems with it whatsoever. 3 interceptions. He's only done it twice in his career. I don't mind. And both times against pretty good defenses. So, Miami Dolphins medicals reach out to the Broncos. That's a good one. This is another good keep away from Charter. By the way, that doctor is still the team doctor. I hear you, Alan, of the size. He feels like it won't phase him. Yeah, I know he doesn't, but it's not smart. It's really the Bills organization should really tell Allen not to do it. So it pissed me off. They sat him up and picked him up. Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. Hackett is a joke. Reich was a joke. Reich. I thought Reich was a good hire, and Reich will get a chance to be an NFL head coach again. I don't think it'll be next year. He may do an offensive gig for a year or two, but he'll be a head coach again. Hackett could be done. We didn't even talk about Hackett, but as Maruno, the Bengals DC, I think would be an excellent choice there. Does the DC Evero stay with the team? Normally when you fired head coach, the whole staff's gone because you're a new head coach. You want to bring in your own guys. There's exceptions of that. One of the bitterest exceptions in all of football history was Mike Ditka when he was brought in. The Bears said you got to keep Buddy Ryan as your defensive coordinator. They did not like each other. They did not get along, but they had a stretch of one of the best 3-year stretches in NFL history with, of course, the 85 Bears. It's very rare. Evero is not a big enough name to stay around. So if the Hackett goes, Evero will go. And he's a guy that I think is an under. Evero is an under because the Broncos haven't won a lot of games. So he's not going to be a head coach. He's a guy in a year or two. I'm talking 2024, 2025. We'll probably get some head coaching interviews. Really, really underrated coach, done an A+ job. But he will be gone. My dad saw the first Ali loss in the theater in New York. He fought Ali. Wow. After the fight, Ali basically walked back on his own alley. I heard about this. It's kind of cool. We're talking boxing here. Big story, Missouri Gators or Broncos. Yeah. Biggest surprise. Those are two good ones. If I recall correctly, Air Raid was born in Iowa when Hal Mummy and Leach were together at Iowa Wesleyan. Hal Mummy actually came up with the Air Raid offense. Great call. Hal Mummy came up with it. I didn't know that him and Leach were together in Iowa. I didn't know that, but Hal Mummy actually invented it. And so here's how it worked. All right. And I'll have to do some more research to come up exactly how Mummy came up the air raid offense. And it was a spinoff of that offense was actually to run and shoot. The air raid came out first. I believe. I could be wrong about this. I could be wrong about this. But the air raid came out, and then it was June Jones and I want to say John Jenkins. I could be wrong, but June Jones and John Jenkins at the University of Houston revolutionized with the run and shoot in the late 80s, and then it took off into the 90s. And then a lot of people think that Mummy and Leach were part of the run and shoot. It's actually just the opposite. It was actually Mummy and Leach came up with the air raid offense. The run and shoot actually came after that. I believe that to be correct. And a lot of people have it just the opposite. It's actually the air raid came out, and then they came out the run and shoot. The run and shoot came out afterwards. And I want to say it was John Jenkins and June Jones. I know John Jenkins was the head coach at University of Houston. I believe June Jones was part of that staff. And then he went to the NFL and then went back to college. But June Jones really built up the run and shoot. John Jenkins at the University of Houston was the first guy to bring that in. When SMU was recovering off the death penalty, they beat SMU 95-21. That's a true score. That is an exact score, 95. And apparently he was pissed that they were running up the score. But in the run and shoot offense, which won Andre Ware and David Klingler Heisman trophies. I mean, and the NFL teams had no idea. College teams had no idea how to handle it. I mean, it was just so revolutionary. It was just crazy. But it's a misconception that the air raid came after the run and shoot. The air raid came first, then the run and shoot. I could be wrong about that. But I'm pretty sure I'm not. I believe Mummy and Leach came up the air raid. The run and shoot was like a subset of that. By the way, the air raid and the run and shoot are different. They are different. They're just schematically different. The offenses are different, but there's a lot of similarities. But they are different things. So just kind of clear up on that. Okay, that was too much of a rant here, and I'm behind. Punch Drunk Love is too RC for me. I don't hate it. It took me years to get through it. I've actually never heard of it until today. I'm a big Adam Sandler movie, so I'll check it out. Best Super Bowl matchup, worst Super Bowl matchup, Chiefs Eagles, because the Andy Reid factor. Bills Dallas would be a good Super Bowl. Worst Super Bowl matchup, I'd say maybe Titans Vikings. This to tell you the truth, it's just personal preference. I think to be honest with you, I would love to see Chiefs Eagles, and there is some Andy Reid in there, but Andy Reid. His very first year in Kansas City, it was like week 3 or week 4. He went back to Philly, and I was blown away at how the Eagles, he got a standing ovation. And Andy Reid was adamant before the game. He's like, it's just another game. And then after game, he's like, it's just another game. And to me, I don't think Andy Reid is probably the only NFL head coach I really firmly believe doesn't have an inner hatred towards the Eagles. I don't think he really he's one of those few guys. Like a lot of coaches and players are petty. Andy Reid's not one of them. Kelsey Brothers is a good one. So for me personally, I would love to see that. God, yeah, Vikings, Titans. With all the Tyreek Hill hatred, Chiefs fans would like to see Miami. I don't know about the worst, but I would like to see Chiefs Eagles because I think they're the two best teams. No disrespect to Buffalo or Cincinnati. I think that I'd like to see the best of both. And I'm going to say something that's going to sound messed up. And man, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Slasher. I mean, there's no guarantee the Eagles get through the playoffs. I mean, there's no guarantee. I mean, seriously, there's some tough teams here, and you got a guy who's not battle tested in the playoffs in Jalen Hurts. I mean, he looked really bad last year in the playoffs, so just remember that. Yeah, I think Eagles Chiefs would be the best one. I don't think Dallas would be able to hang with the Bills. Parsons can't cover Diggs, but Diggs on Diggs would be fun. It would be funny. Yeah, that's why I said those two matchups would be good. I wouldn't mind Titans versus Vikings. I think Seahawks and Patriots would be, oh, God. Yeah, that would, tell you the truth, Seahawks Patriots, I think it would be kind of interesting. Ali Foreman analysts get wrong. They don't get the rope-a-dope. The punches were glancing bros. That's how Ali wore him out. Foreman punches too hard, and Ali would have died. Dude, by the way, it's funny. I'm going to say, like, I remember saying this in Tyson's heyday, and everybody thought I was crazy, and I will stand by it. Even in Tyson's heyday, when Foreman was just coming back, I said Foreman would beat Tyson, and the reason why is Tyson would not be able to handle those blows. But Foreman. By the way, the best fight is when Foreman won the heavyweight championship against the guy that beat. I'm drawing a blank on his name. He beat Evander Holyfield for the belt. It was Holyfield won it, and then he lost. I want to say Ray Mercer. Is that it? And he was a really good boxer too. The guy that beat Holyfield, really good boxer. Anyway, he went against George Foreman, and for 10 rounds was beating the shit out of Foreman. It was funny because he was doing smart. He was like jab, jab, stand away, and then like after the 6th round, he's like kept getting closer and closer and closer because he wanted to knock Foreman out, and Foreman was like one of his eyes were swollen shut, and Foreman got him. Like, and afterwards they talked to both fighters, and Foreman's like, yeah, I planned it out because I knew I wasn't going to win by points. I had to win by knockout. So I set it up. And the other guy goes, bullshit. He got lucky. It was pretty funny, but it was accurate. I mean, by both boxers. George Foreman, I was firmly convinced in Tyson's heyday, Foreman would beat Tyson. And everybody said it was nuts. But bottom line, Foreman would be able to knock Tyson out. So, Cliff, what's up, brother? Hey, Dan, Grayson McCall projected 2nd round pick, but he's entering the transfer portal and rumored to Auburn. Surprised me. Okay, so I did hear about this, and I'm glad you said it because I didn't jump on this. Grayson McCall is entering the transfer portal, and it's unknown where he's going. I was kind of surprised because I thought he would come out, and the reason why he's not going to come out, I'm guessing. I obviously didn't hear from Grayson McCall. He didn't call me. Is that he thinks he could go as a 1st round pick next year. And that kind of sort of makes sense. He's had a lot of success. Maybe he wants to win a Heisman Trophy. Going to Auburn would be interesting because they hired Hugh Freeze. He's a pass-happy coach. They got lots of talent there. That actually kind of makes a lot of sense on a lot of levels. So it'd be very interesting. I was kind of surprised that I kind of thought he would come out because if you have a 2nd round grade, you're usually chosen in the 1st round. That's how NFL quarterbacks are graded. If you have a 2nd round grade, choose them in the 1st round. You have a 3rd round grade, choose them in the 2nd round. It's 1+. So maybe he looked at the quarterback class, said there's too many guys. So, kind of must watch television in Auburn, which Hugh Freeze, if he ends up landing Grayson McCall, that's a big win for him. That's why I drafted Madison too, because I took Cook with my 1st pick. That's smart, very smart. Madison, by the way, is a great backup running back too. Last time I was with my dad, we was still alive and conscious, kind of. He's on morphine. My family, I was like, Butterbean. My dad pops up and say, how many flags do you think? That's pretty funny, man. I used to love boxing. None of you guys know who Sweet Pea Whitaker is. Maybe the best boxer. I wish I could remember his guy's name. Floyd Mayweather. Okay, Sweet Pea Whitaker would have beaten Floyd Mayweather. I'm telling you that right now. They fought the same weight. I took Mixon, picked up Brian Robinson. That's a good one. My receivers are Scary Terry, Amon-Ra, Mike Williams, DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, that's a good one. Keep an eye on Williams' health. More than likely, you're probably starting. Actually, I'm kind of interesting because you're probably starting Amon-Ra. But which one are you going, McCarron or Hopkins? I didn't see Giants as a surprise. I thought Dable would make. I didn't think right away. I thought that he would struggle year 1, but he's done an excellent job. Been praising Evo ever since day 1. Dude's legit. Yeah. What do you think, DJ? If Hackett gets fired, do you think Denver lets Evero go? I think y'all keep him. I don't, and I'll tell you why. He's not a big enough name that would indicate a head because here's the deal: when you're trying to bring in a new head coach, like let's say you're not bringing in Sean Payton. He was adamant, but if you're trying to bring in a big time head coach, like for example Sean Payton's going to want to bring in his own guys. You're not going to take a job and then say, well, you got to keep this guy. Now, I'll be honest. I've been saying this for a couple of weeks. Cody Rourke, he does Locked On Broncos. I sent him a tweet and I said, what do you guys think about Eric Bieniemy? Hell no. So Eric Bieniemy going to Denver does make a lot of sense, to be honest with you. In that situation, I think Evero would stay because Bieniemy would just work on the offensive side. Evero stays on the defensive side. So I have to go back and find my copy. I think it's Book Smart Football and talk about Mummy and Leach. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. I'd have to double check, but I think it's a big misconception that Mummy and Leach came after the run and shoot. They came first, and the air raid came before the run and shoot. But the run and shoot became popular because the Houston Cougars, the University of Houston, just said that this is going to be our whole offense. We're going to do run and shoot. 60 plays a game or 60 minutes, 4th and 1, 1st and 1 on the goal. We're going to line up 4 or 5 wide receivers and just beat us. So, which bowl of the Big Six is most intriguing outside of playoffs? I say the Orange Bowl, Clemson, and Tennessee. Which team will be playing? Like both teams had high expectations. I really want to see that game because the quarterback for the University of Tennessee, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, he was at Michigan. I watched him at Michigan, really, really impressive. But I think he's going to play in the NFL, but I don't think he's going to be a quarterback. I think he's going to be a tight end. He's like 6'5", 250 with a cannon for an arm. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to watch that game, and they're going to watch him, and I think he's going to have a big game against Clemson, and they're going to say, hey, can he play in the NFL? And he can't, but he could be an NFL tight end. He's going to be a lot of fun. And Clemson, they're going to start, I don't know if he's a true freshman or a redshirt freshman, but he's a young kid, and he's going to be a Heisman favorite. So that's going to be a fun game. I haven't had a chance to dig into the bowl game. That's going to be a lot of fun. Dan, give the most balanced perspective on Spags you can. Why keep them? I move on. Seriously, I actually would love to do this. I'm like 10 minutes behind on comments, so I'm gonna give this like super short and sweet. Why keep him? 4 years he's been here, 4 straight AFC West or 4 AFC conference games at Arrowhead. It's unprecedented. The Chiefs have had unprecedented success with Spags here. The Chiefs have never been better in the whole 60+ year history of the organization going back to the Houston Texans. This is the best time. And Spags is a big part of that. That's why you keep them. Why move on? It's frustrating. Why move on is that the defense is frustrating. Maybe you can do better. I am not a fan of moving on from Spags at all. But bottom line, lots of Chiefs fans want that, but I'm looking at the 4 greatest years in the. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Has it been 3? I'm trying to think here. 1 Super Bowl, lost Super Bowl, lost. So you see, this is year 4. All right. This is the best time in Chiefs history. We're never going to see anything like this again. I mean, we're really not. And he's a part of that. And I think that when you take which has turned into a dynasty of sorts, really, in a way, when you start getting rid of pieces and trying to tweak things. Now, I will say this. A lot of people think Andy Reid's going to be here for 10 years. That's not going to happen. Andy Reid's only going to be here for another 3 to 5 years tops. When Reid leaves, I think you move on. But why move on is that grass is always greener on the other side. If there's some problems within organization or with players with Spags, and there's not, he's players love this guy. then maybe. But I think there's very little reasons to move on from him, and that's kind of, I'm trying to be balanced. Cowboys Super Bowl bound. A lot of people would disagree with you, but you know what? Seriously, let's look at the way things are right now. They would play Tampa Bay a 5 versus a 4, and defense travels well, running game travels well. I actually I think the Cowboys, and then you would have Cowboys versus Eagles in the second round. Is that right? Unless one of the other teams ups. Okay, let's look at it currently. I'm just going to use it as it is right now. No disrespect to Lions fans who are firmly convinced they're going to the playoffs. Giants would play Vikings. All right. The Vikings have looked bad. I would take the Vikings. Washington over Washington, San Francisco. That would be interesting. That would probably be like where I would say an upset, but let's just say 49ers. Okay. Dallas and Tampa Bay. And so Dallas wins that one. So Dallas would, in this situation, go to Philly. And that would be a lot of fun. They have to beat the Eagles in Philly. That's a lot. That's a lot to ask. If they can do that, if that happens, I would probably pencil the Cowboys in. No, it's not Michael Spinks. It's I want to say Ray Mercer. People hated Ali because he's so arrogant and cocky, but he backed it up. It's funny that people came to see him, whether he rooted for him to lose. Yeah, Muhammad Ali was great, man. Muhammad Ali was great. Foreman, the hardest puncher ever. The only knock on Ali and Foreman was he kept rabbit punching. Still a great accomplishment for Ali. Beat such a big man and the hardest puncher ever. He might be the hardest puncher ever. No disrespect to Tyson. But yeah, Foreman probably the hardest. Michael Moore, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's what I was trying to think of. I thought Foreman was going to kill Ali. Literally, dude was a hard hitter. Dude, I'm not that old. I'm not that old, believe it or not. I'm not that old. But I remember Foreman, like when he was coming back, I thought Foreman would be Tyson in his prime. Dan, what do you think of the Giants drafting quarterback prospect Cameron Ward? I don't know too much about Ward, to be perfectly honest. I've seen several mock drafts where he goes in the first round. He's a guy that a lot of NFL teams like. I haven't watched him play one bit. I have not watched him once this year. I really don't. So I really can't say that, but I know a lot of NFL teams like this kid. And I'd have to say about 60 to 70% of the mock drafts I've seen him in, I've seen in the first round, he's been in there. So the boxing heavyweight division was so loaded back in the day. I would never. Oh God, no. It's. I'm not a big fan. Yeah. Was watching a pregame on Sunday or St. Peyton. He says he wants to live in Los Angeles, so Chargers or Rams if May retires. There's been a lot of talk about Sean Payton going to the Chargers, and if you're an AFC West fan like myself and like you are, you should be very, very afraid. Watch. I don't think the guy's name. I don't know the guy's name off the top of my head, but if you get a chance to watch Tennessee and Clemson, watch Tennessee's quarterback. He was the former quarterback at Michigan. He's got a bazooka for an arm. Seriously. I mean, he'll remind you of a poor man Josh Allen. He's literally like 6'5", 250, and he's got a bazooka. The problem is that there's so many problems with his throwing motion he's a great athlete, though. He can move. He's going to be a tight end. And by the way, it would not surprise me if in round 6 or 7 of the NFL draft, if that guy is at Kansas City cheap, would not surprise me at all. Amazement, man. Thanks for the love, brother. I really hope you reach 1K subscribers again. You will. Yeah, I've made some changes in my picks. And it's been getting a lot of new viewers, even though I've been getting almost more picks wrong than I'm getting right. But yeah. No. It's Hendon Hooker's backup. Hendon Hooker's backup quarterback is going to play in that bowl game. He was at Michigan. He's like 6'5", 250. He can run. He's got a bazooka for an arm. Watch the bowl game. He's going to be a lot of fun. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's a future Kansas City Chief. You've heard it here first. Dan, how about Leftwich replaces Andy Reid once he retires? That would be very interesting. That would be very interesting. I think Andy Reid's going to be here for another 2-3 years, and I think Leftwich, in 2 years is going to be head coach if he's not next year. So I don't think it'll last that long. So as long as Dallas doesn't ask Dak to do a lot, they have a chance to win the NFC. Whenever Cowboys have Dak throw the ball a ton, they win or they struggle. That have to be bounce played. Here's the problem. Mike McCarthy wants to throw the ball. The Cowboys are built to run the ball, but Mike McCarthy wants to throw the ball. Yes, that's the guts. Yeah. You heard it here first, Keys. This guy will probably be a Kansas City Chief. If he gets through the draft, because I think what will happen is NFL teams will ask him to work out different positions. And if he says yes, he could go in the 5th round, and that might not be it. But if he decides he just wants to be a quarterback, then forget it. But if he's willing to go and play like at the Senior Bowl and play tight end or something like that, I seriously 6th, 7th round, because he can move. He's big. I mean, seriously, he's a lot of fun to watch. Like watch this game. He's going to be a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure you're right about me. But back here, that's Mike McCarthy's biggest problem is he wants to just air it out, and that's when they don't play well. When Dallas is balanced, they're as dangerous as anybody, but they want to be they get two-dimensional, and they should sound familiar to Chiefs fans. I heard that Spags won't be with the Chiefs much longer, and Colin's his replacement. Joe Colin, and for those of you who don't know, he was the Jacksonville Jaguars defensive coordinator last year. He was before with the Baltimore Ravens as defensive line coach. He's now with Kansas City's defensive line coach. That's kind of a rumor. I don't think that that's valid because Spags and Andy Reid have a long history together. And I think that within the Chiefs organization, there's a lot of love for Spags. In the media, outside the organization, there's a lot of hatred. I don't buy this at all, but I've heard this. So you're not alone. Caleb Williams is getting Mahomes comparisons already, but he's only a sophomore, but I like his games. He may have been the top pick. If Caleb Williams could come out of this draft, he would go number 1. He would go number 1, and he hopefully stays healthy next year and gets a chance. And if that's the case, I mean, I honestly, I no offense to Stetson Bennett, the University of Georgia quarterback, but Bryce Young should have got the invite over him. That's my opinion. But he's a guy that is Bryce Young's probably going to go number 1. And if Caleb Williams could come out, he would go number 1. And if he doesn't get hurt and he plays as well as he did last year, whether he wins the Heisman or not, here's the thing. Bryce Young, in my opinion, even though he's not going to compete for a national championship, even though he didn't even go to the Heisman ceremony, he improved his draft stock. He locked in what I think is the number 1 pick in the draft. Now, he could lose that between now and the NFL draft. I mean, he may not do well at the combine. He may not, his measurements may not come out as well. He may not interview well. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, but as of right now, he's my number 1. I think Caleb Williams would be number 1. I really do. Yeah, you're right. And it's going to be very interesting because I think next year, them and UCLA goes to the Big Ten. I think the schedule already kind of works that way too. So I have to do some checking. I mean, I'm kind of just but yeah, you're right though. Caleb Williams would go number 1. If few snaps as he's had as a college quarterback, he'd be crazy to think he'd get drafted as a quarterback. Starting college quarterbacks are great careers, don't even get drafted. Yeah, and that's why it'll be very interesting because he's a guy that could go to the combine, but I'm not sure he's going to go to a combine as a quarterback. I personally, I don't know anything about the guy. I just watched him play. I remember watching him at Michigan, like, oh my God, this guy's impressive. Then he got benched. And when I say he was impressive, Like I watched him. He was a sophomore, and I thought he was going to grow and continue and develop, but it just didn't happen. He ended up getting benched, transferred to Tennessee. Then they brought in Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker obviously beat him out. And if I'm him, if I'm Milton, I think I'm pretty sure you're right on the name. I'm pretty sure it's Joe Milton. If I'm Milton, whoever's listening, and if I go to the combine or he's going to probably get an invite to the Senior Bowl. If they ask him to play tight end, I would do it. And he's got the size and the athleticism to be a mismatch. And he's not the only guy to do it. I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name in Washington. Same story. He's probably going to a Pro Bowl this year. I'm drawing a complete blank. Played quarterback at Virginia Tech. Very similar build. I actually think Hendon Hooker might be a slightly better athlete. Might be. But yeah. The media hates Spags because he's a former Giant, won a Super Bowl, the G-Man. Tyrann Mathieu didn't like him. I get the feeling, especially. I heard that him and Mathieu kind of banged heads. And there was a lot of hostility that Tyrann Mathieu didn't get a contract from the Chiefs. The truth is that the Chiefs broke the bank to get Tyrann Mathieu here. He signed him to a big time deal. It was if not a record breaking deal at the time. It was like a 3-year, $42 million deal. All right. But the plan was to only have him for those 3 years. I mean, the Chiefs didn't want to give him that extra contract when you're going to be over 30, when you've lost a step, and they knew that it would just cause too many problems. So that was kind of the whole plan. And the Honey Badger is one of my all-time favorite players. He's going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I love the Honey Badger. But I also knew that losing him, and I thought it'd have a lot more of an impact. It really hasn't, to be perfectly honest. The guy who's replacing him, drawing a blank on him, University of Virginia player, number 64 in the draft. Number 63 in the draft because DK Metcalf was 64. Drawing a complete blank on the guy's name. Anyway, he's up for a contract this year, and he hasn't really played. He'll probably be gone through free agency, or if we sign him to a 1-year deal cheap, and I'm drawing a complete blank on his name. We signed Justin Reed instead. Justin Reed was the guy we replaced Honey Badger with. The other receiver, the other safety I'm thinking of, I'm drawing a complete blank on. Thornhill. Yeah, Thornhill, Justin Thornhill. And he's the guy who's going to replace Honey Badger, and he really hasn't really done the job. It wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs address the safety position early in the draft. So just note for you draft junkies. I'm sorry. In my opinion, if Spags gets tired of D, Spags is gone. I think Clark Hunt's seating of power is Andy 1A, Pat 1B. One will be there longer and is getting paid $500 million. That's the thing. Is I think Mahomes and Spags. I think Spags has a great relationship with all the players. That's what I'm hearing. He has a really good relationship. There was some talk about him and the Honey Badger didn't get along, and I heard that, and he's like one of the few players. Spags has a great reputation around the NFL too. So I think Andy Reid. I know Andy Reid loves Spags, and I think Mahomes likes Spags too. So I remember Joe Cullen was our staff back in Tampa when Lovey was our head coach. I did not know that. I know he was in Baltimore. The one thing about Cullen is he's never been a defensive coordinator before. But most of his experience is with a 3-4 multifaceted defense, which Kansas City really doesn't have. But no, he's not really the guy that I would want to bring in unless Spags retires. And the reason why is he doesn't have any experience. And I kind of want to keep the guy who we've won a lot of games with than roll the dice on something new and shiny and different. That's my opinion, though. What position could Joe Milton play other than quarterback? I seriously think he could be a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. I'm drawing a blank on the guy in Washington. The tight end in Washington went to a Pro Bowl, I think, 2 years ago. He was the Virginia Tech quarterback, switched over to tight end, and he's been playing lights out. And it took a while. Milton, watch this game because he's 6'5", he's 250 something. He can run. He's got he's got a stronger arm than Hendon Hooker. Like seriously, like this guy, like he's like a very poor version of Josh Allen. Like he was he was just bazooka for an arm. But he could easily be a tight end. I shouldn't make roughing the quarterback calls reviewable as a terrible call in Dolphins. Yeah, God, yeah. The answer is no, and the reason why is remember they tried out pass interference penalties, and the games were extended. There's too much. There's just going to be some bad calls, and that's just how to do it. They're going to tweak this, and they're going to probably introduce this to the McCall to review. Excuse me. They're going to introduce this to the review committee, but I don't think they will. He was there for 1 year, but he's inexperienced. He's not a guy who's got a lot of experience. Where Spags was a former head coach, longtime defensive coordinator. Andy Reid trusts him. This is somebody who's like that was his first year, and he also I don't think got a chance to really implement his whole. If you look what he did at Jacksonville and you look what he did in Baltimore, because that's like where he spent most of his time was in Baltimore, he wants to run a multifaceted, very confusing 3-4 defense, which is complete opposite of what we have right now. And we really don't have the money to go out and get a bunch of new free agents. So if you ask Colin just to run what he's doing now, then I think it's a big mistake also because you're kind of like, okay, you can come in, but you got to run a different style of defense. Now, I don't know too much about Colin, but in Jacksonville, he ran the 3-4 multifaceted defense that was very similar to what he did in Baltimore, which is what Wink Martindale's doing with the Giants. And he's doing a pretty good job. And if he can implement that system, great. But you have to realize the Chiefs they'd have to let go of some players. They'd have to bring some players in. They'd have to change some things up. I am not a fan of that at all. But that's just me. That's just me. You don't think Jordan? No, he's sick. He's literally 6'5", 250. If I'm wrong about that, I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure he's like 6'4", 6'5", 250. I don't think he's too short to play tight end. The guy Tennessee drafted, he's 6'1". He's technically like an H-back type, but they're calling him a tight end. I think Milton's 6'4", 6'5". If I'm wrong about that, I'm wrong about that. I think he's 6'4", 6'5". And I think he'll be an NFL tight end. And I think there'll be a team that's going to draft him in the later rounds. And if he goes to the right team, like Kansas City, for example, be a good fit. Are DC's good hires since the league is moving towards offense now? Excuse me. This is something the NFL's always done. For years, it was defensive coordinators. Right now, it's offensive coordinators. It's just trends. The hot names, because the two coaches in last year's Super Bowl were guys that were offensive coordinators with no head coaching experience, in Sean McVay and Zach Taylor. So that's the NFL's a copycat league. So take a look at New York. The Giants have a lot of success with Brian Dable, never been head coach before. Former offensive coordinator, he comes in, he's doing a great job. The head coach in Minnesota, drawing a blank on his name, the former offensive, I don't remember if he was offensive coordinator with the Rams or quarterback coach. I don't remember, but offensive guy, never been head coach before. Yeah, I know the Vikings had a loss last week, but he's 10-3, probably going to win the North. And that's the way the NFL is trending. However, it can always go back with one good hire. Lou Aresmo, I'm probably butchering that name, the Bengals defensive coordinator. If he gets hired as a head coach and takes the team to a Super Bowl, all of a sudden defensive coordinators will be in vogue. It just goes in cycles. I think if you're a good coach and you bring in the right staff, and most important, you have to have a good relationship with your general manager. You got to be on the same page. You got to be on the same page as your general manager. You can't have general manager thinking one way and head coach thinking another. You got to be on the same page. And if you're on the same page and everybody's in agreement, there's a lot of things that takes for a head coach to be a good head coach. For example, Dennis Allen in New Orleans. A lot of people think that he's not a good coach. And I mean, he has a 4-9 record. There's a lot of things wrong in New Orleans that's out of his control. But I think he's an excellent coach. Is there a chance he could get fired after this year? Yeah, sure. There's a lot of external factors, but I think DCs are still good hires, but it's individual, and most importantly, it's a situation that you're in more than the coach. It's kind of a long-winded answer, but the short ones, yes. Would the Giants be a good fit for Joe Milton as a tight end? Absolutely. I think any passing team that has a creative offensive mind could have a lot of fun with this kid. Now, he could also say, hey, you know what? I'm a quarterback. I'm good enough to play in the NFL, and I'm going to try to make it in the NFL. I don't think he can, but I've seen weirder things. So maybe he wants to play in the NFL. Maybe he wants to go to XFL or USFL or whatever. Maybe he wants to do that. I think there's several teams. Seriously, if he goes to a Senior Bowl, and he'll probably get an invite, and he says, I'll play tight end, and I think there's going to be a lot of coaches, because there's a lot of coaches that get the feeling of, just give me the athlete, I'll coach him up. And I get the feeling that Brian Dable and Mike Kafka, those are two of those guys. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's 6'5", 245. So and that's true. NFL teams are looking for young coaches because they're hot names because yeah, exactly. So as soon as one team, because your amazement, you nailed it. It's a copycat league. As soon as you get one defensive guy who's a big time guy, and he comes in, he plays lights out, you'll get a bunch of them. It's just the way the NFL is, and it goes in cycles. There was a long time where all you hired was defensive guys. Now it's offensive guys. Has Milton actually played tight end at Tennessee? And no, he has not. So what happened was he was a big signing by John Harbaugh in Michigan. He was one of the biggest signings. Like, he was one of the best high school players in the country. And he was playing some as a freshman, and then he was a sophomore. And it was actually funny. He was playing against Michigan State, and they lost to Michigan State. And he had some bad games, but I mean, like, the athleticism, the ability, I mean, it kind of leapt out off the field. You ever watched college football, and there's a guy who looks like a man playing with boys? That's how Joe Milton looked at Michigan. All right. But it didn't translate into win, specifically a loss against Michigan State, which was a big one. And this was kind of at the height of Fire Harbaugh. And then Harbaugh benched him, and he started having success when he benched Milton. And what do you do when you're a big time, college player and you get benched? Well, you go to a different team. So he signed with the University of Tennessee, and things probably would have worked out really well at the University of Tennessee. It's just that they were able to get Herndon Hooker, and Hooker just outplayed him. So, seriously, Joe Milton is probably one of the best 50 to 75 college quarterbacks in college football. That's not an exaggeration. That's not a lie. Like, he's probably one of the top 50. So, I'm dead serious. Maybe 75. Let's say 75. If he went anywhere, if he went outside the SEC, maybe he went like Mountain West or, the Sun Belt Conference USA. He went somewhere else. He probably would put up big time numbers, and he may be getting some phone calls, but because he was such a big time prospect, he went to an SEC school where they also recruited Herndon Hooker, and it just worked out. So He may say, hey, I can play in the NFL because, like, what? By the way, if you don't believe me, watch the bowl game because you're going to see a couple throws that you're going to go, oh my God, because he's got a bazooka for an arm. I'm not joking. He's probably got just arm strength. Like he's probably one of the 5'10" strongest arms in college football. Just pure arm strength. He's seriously, if he came to the NFL and you're just talking arm strength, he would have a top 10 NFL arm strength, just pure arm strength. Like he could throw the ball 75, 80 yards. Like the arm is phenomenal. I kind of don't want to rant too much here. I've been talking for 2.5 hours. There are so many problems with his throwing mechanics and accuracy that I don't think he can play in the NFL as a quarterback. So I would switch. And there's also cases of guys doing this. The tight end at Washington, who was the quarterback at Virginia Tech, and he made a Pro Bowl. This has happened a handful of times. So has he ever played tight end before? The answer is no. Can he? Well, history shows yes. So, but is it easy? Is it overnight? No. Yeah, if a team has already established quarterback and defensive coordinator could be a good hire if he was a great leader, or if it's a young quarterback and offensive coordinator would be better if it's a veteran team. Well, that's a good point. Take a look at Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh, defensive mind. D'Amico Ryans, the defensive coordinator for San Francisco. Here's another guy. Robert Saleh, I really thought was going to be a disaster with Jets. I thought it was not going to work at all. And it turned out to be, it works. I mean, he may take the Jets to the playoffs, and we would have thought there's a better chance that I could throw a baseball to the moon. So, and you keep in mind, too, the Jets general manager and Robert Saleh worked hand in hand. They had a great draft. They got the players they wanted. They got rid of players that they didn't. They did a lot of other good things besides just a good coach. Who is a better fit for the Giants, Joe Milton or Darnell Washington? You think Darnell Washington will be available for the Giants in the first round? Correct me if I'm wrong because I haven't dove headfirst into the draft yet. Darnell Washington is that massive tight end out of Georgia. And if you haven't seen this guy play yet, Georgia has a couple of future, I think NFL stars, and Washington's a guy that I don't know how much of a star he's going to be. If I'm correct, Darnell Washington's that 6'7", 270-pound tight end who can move. Washington's one of those guys I think that looks really impressive. I don't think he has a future in the NFL. And the reason why I say that is because giant tight ends that don't move that well don't really succeed. And by the way, if you look at him in college, you're like, no, he looks good. He's a guy I think that's got decent speed on the college level, but will be slow in the pros. I want to see what he does at the combine because he's a guy that you may have a first round grade on, but after the combine, he could go in the third or fourth round. I don't know what he's going to do movement wise at the combine. I'm going to keep an eye out on him. Joe Milton's a project. Like, you have to realize Joe Milton's a guy who's an absolute project. With Darnell Washington, we really don't know. And I know it's kind of a lame answer because Darnell Washington's a guy that could go in the first round and he can go in the seventh round. I really think it's all over the place, but big tight ends, and because I don't know what he's going to move. If he goes to a combine and he runs like a 4.6 something, then and he moves like a 4.6 something and he's like 260, 270, he's a first round player. If he's 275 and runs like a 4.8 or a 4.9, which I think he could, he might be undraftable. I know it's cold, and I know you're probably shaking your head and like, no, Dan, watch this guy play. And big tight ends like that who don't move really don't have a bright future in the NFL. They don't get drafted high. They're invaluable to certain teams, but they don't get drafted high. Jets are best defense in the NFL. I hate to say it, even as a Giants fan. I think it's San Francisco, even though they've had injuries. I would say San Francisco, but the Jets defense is amazing. Logan Thomas, yes. Logan Thomas played quarterback at Virginia Tech, transferred to tight end, never played tight end, and he went to a Pro Bowl 2 years ago. He's been banged up, and when he's healthy, he's really good. Yes. With the Jets' problem obviously being the quarterback and a guy like Salah fix it. Jets have a Super Bowl caliber defense, but we knew that would be the case. Well, actually, that's it. I didn't think he would bring a Super Bowl caliber defense. I think he got kind of lucky with the talent that was there in San Francisco, and then he got very lucky. He got the motor turned on in Quentin Williams, which before he came there, he was always injured. He had flashes, but he wasn't the same guy. He did a lot of good stuff. Their inside linebacker, I think, is leading the NFL in tackles, or he's close. He was a guy from a 3-4 defense I didn't think would fit, and he's been. Sauce Gardner, maybe the best corner in football. Can Salah fix it? The answer is yes, and it may surprise you, but you may just draft the guy. I think Salah is the type of guy who, I'm guessing, but my opinion is that he's the type of guy that I would. Sorry, my computer's doing some goofy stuff here. So if I'm Salah, I bring in a veteran. All right. If I'm Salah, I want to bring in a veteran, but the answer may be to do just the opposite and bring in a young quarterback who's going to be cheap. You may be able to get somebody like Anthony Richardson. NFL executives really love Will Levis. I'm not as high on him, but you may just want to just say, hey, look, we're just going to cut bait. I mean, we're just going to move on from Zach Wilson. Just, hey, we tried it. It didn't work. You may want to go young. If I'm the Jets, my answer would be to go after a veteran quarterback, and there's going to be some veterans that are going to be available. It'll be very interesting to see. But I would go after a veteran. I would go after somebody who hey, look, I got a great defense. I'm getting Breece Hall. I got Garrett Wilson. I'm getting back. They had multiple injuries on their offensive line. I mean, the Jets' offensive line's a mash unit. So, I mean, I kind of get the feeling that when you have a great defense, you want somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo, I think would be perfect. I mean, he knows he worked with both Salah and I always get Matt and Mike LaFleur mixed up. I think Matt LaFleur is in Green Bay and Mike LaFleur is in New York. But anyway, doesn't matter. You know what I'm talking about. Jimmy Garoppolo would be the answer. I would just take Zach Wilson. I would cut him. I would sign Jimmy Garoppolo. I would say, look, even if he's not 100% healthy, just say, hey, look, come to New York. Whenever you get healthy, Joe Flacco, we have Mike White. Is there interest in Zach Wilson? Could you trade Zach Wilson? Sure, why not? You may be right. I don't know anything about the guy. And when I say I don't know anything about the guy, I know about the guy. I haven't watched him. I watched Will Levis, whatever, at University of Kentucky. I watched him play. I understand why teams love the kid. I get it. I have a major man crush on Anthony Richardson out of Florida, but he is super raw. I think your Bryce Young's number one guy. I think C.J. Stroud, even there's a lot of hate on C.J. Stroud, I think he's the number 2 quarterback in the draft, and it wouldn't surprise me if he goes in the top 5. I would say number 2 overall, but it looks like the Bears are going to have number 2 pick, and they love Justin Fields. But yeah, I got it right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Garoppolo to the Jets just makes all the sense in the world. I think Derek Carr stays with the Raiders. I think that I have no idea because I don't really I don't know Josh McDaniels, and I don't know if he's a guy that I don't know if he's the type of guy that just gets along. But my guess is I think him and Derek Carr get along really well. I think that they're going to build something really, really good. I think that one of the reasons that I'm speculating, of course, but I think one of the reasons that McDaniels took the Raiders job is because he likes Derek Carr and knows, hey, I got my guy for the next 5 years. I don't have to worry about quarterback. I got my wide receiver. I just got to fix the offensive line. I have to fix some skill position issues. I have to fix that defense. I'm not a defensive guy. I'm going to bring somebody along. I think Derek Carr and the Raiders are set for a while. Is Anthony Richardson Lamar Jackson to you? I'm going to give you a lame answer, and I'm going to say yes and no. I think you can do a lot of things that you can do with Lamar Jackson, but not. He's a different type of guy, man. You have to realize Lamar Jackson, I thought might be better suited to play wide receiver, where Anthony Richardson's like a big dude. Like Anthony Richardson's built like an NFL tight end. Like this dude is big and he's strong and he's got a big arm. He's just, I actually believe it or not, he's a lot more raw than Lamar Jackson. But there's some similarities, but I think they're different types of players, to be honest with you. But if I'm Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, like I need $250 million guaranteed, $55 million a year, and I'm going to destroy your salary cap, I would just say, man, can I get Anthony Richardson for a 1/10, at least for 4 years, for 1/10 of the money, and can he be 80-85%? Sure. I know it's not a good answer, I know, but yeah. Scouts are drooling over Richardson because his upside is so strong. He's a freak athlete. Man, I want to see. That's going to be like the story of the draft, because seriously, he can go top 5. He can go second round. Nobody knows. It's going to be a great story. Come on. Don't you know that Brady doesn't go to 49ers? He's gone to the Raiders to read. That would be interesting. I didn't know you liked Richardson. I thought you said he was like Terrell Pryor. Kind of reminds me of Kamar Jackson, like I said. I wonder if I did call him like Terrell Pryor, because they're kind of similar. I've developed a major man crush on Richardson. I did a video a couple weeks back that said this is a first round quarterback. If you didn't get a chance, it's not the best video I made, but take a look at it. I have a major man crush on Anthony Richardson. He's a guy I would love to see go to the right team. Is Lamar losing money? Does he stay in Baltimore? Okay. I think what's going to happen is I think he stays in Baltimore. I think Baltimore and Lamar Jackson work it out. I think Lamar gets his money. I think he stays in Baltimore. And I think it really, really kind of makes the team fall apart, to tell you the truth. I really think that it kind of sinks Baltimore, because once you tie up that much money, you basically don't have the ability to keep some other players, and you're going to lose a lot of players. I kind of think that's what's going to happen. If I'm Lamar Jackson, I take a pay cut and I stay in Baltimore, and I become an NFL star and make a lot of money on endorsements, which I know he doesn't want to do. If I'm Baltimore, I also really strongly look at one of these young quarterbacks coming out and say, can I? Because look at their defense. They have a defense that's ready to win a Super Bowl. They got some good running backs. They got some good talent receivers. A lot of them banged up. That's going to be a great story. I think he does stay in Baltimore, and I think Baltimore makes him happy, and I think it ends up sinking the ship. I think Baltimore, that's if it doesn't happen right away, I think he signs, and then 5 years from now, Baltimore is winning 5-6 games. That's kind of what I think. Man, I wish Richardson would stay, but his stock is probably too hard to pass up right now, so I get it. If he would have stayed, honestly, I think he can be a top 10 pick this year. I've seen mock drafts where he's top 10. Number 1, Houston's probably going to take Bryce Young. Carolina Panthers are going to draft a quarterback. The Detroit Lions could draft a quarterback with the Rams pick, and they're going to be top 5. It wouldn't surprise me if the Lions end up with pick number 4, pick number 5, if they draft Richardson. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Wouldn't surprise me if the Carolina Panthers take Anthony Richardson at pick 3, 4, 5, wherever they end up at. I think Richardson could very easily go top 10. We're going to do a lot of draft stuff. So Anthony Richardson seems like the closest thing to Lamar Jackson. Do you agree? I don't know. I mean, they're built so different. To tell you the truth, Caleb Williams reminds me more of Lamar Jackson than Anthony Richardson. So that's just my opinion. Anthony Richardson's a big dude. Lamar Jackson's not that big. He's a lot bigger than me. I'm 5'8", 170. Like Lamar Jackson would look like a giant next to me. But I mean, Anthony Richardson looks like an NFL tight end, where Lamar Jackson, when he came out of college, looked like an NFL wide receiver. Honestly, I think it's Tampa or retirement for Brady. I don't think he wants to be in a new system, plus injuries hit this team. That's kind of why I think he wants to come back, is because you were just bombed with injuries at the beginning of the season. You had, was it Ali Marpet or Ryan Jensen retire? You had so many injuries. I would love to see Tampa Bay come back in full force, because if they were healthy, if they had the same team that came back, they would probably be the front runners, but because of all those injuries, it really just took the life out of them. Plus, and I hate to speculate, I know lots of NFL players go through personal tragedies and stuff, but it was so public of his divorce. Maybe Brady. By the way, for those of you that are older men like Brady, like myself, do not regret. Do not. I mean, I'm not in Brady's situation, but look at the Brady situation, right? Supermodel girlfriend, but she's over 40. Wants someone new. What does Brady do? He gets another supermodel. He's dating like some 25-year-old supermodel now. So, yeah, life's good when you're a G. Amazing at the moment Jensen went out and said, "Yeah, exactly." You brought it up. And I'm like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Falcons side to Brent. Yeah, do we not even talk about this? Did we not even talk about this? This is a big deal. And the Falcons right in the middle of that playoff race. San Francisco has the offensive line to D, offensive weapons 20 miles from home. Makes a lot of sense if Brady wants to keep playing and win. It kind of does too. The offensive scheme, because they like one of the reasons they drafted Trey Lance is because they wanted to do more with their quarterback running, which Brady won't do. I don't think the offense that San Francisco wants to run fits a pocket passer like Brady, so it'll be kind of interesting. That really hurt our offense. Yeah, it hurt the running game too. Another thing, Leonard Fournette's been banged up, and he was a guy I thought that they were really going to lean on this year. Could CJ Stroud drop, and do you like him as a prospect? He absolutely could drop. I think he's a number 2 player overall. Well, actually, I don't know how I'd rate Jalen Carter and Stroud, but he's my number 2 quarterback, and I like him a lot. He's been getting a lot of hate on social media as a prospect, but I like the kid. He's calm. He's cool. He's got great touch. I'll be honest though, the last quarterback out of Ohio State, God, I'm drawing a blank on the kid's name. Oh man. Was in Washington. Riviera fired him. Jesus. I'm going to wrap things up. It's been 2:45. My throat's. I'm having a hard time talking. I can't believe I can't remember that guy's name. I liked him a lot coming out. I might have liked him more than CJ Stroud, and he was a disaster. So he's going to have to deal with that. But I do like him. I do like Stroud quite a bit. He has accuracy. He's got touch. He's cool under pressure. There's a lot of things I like about that kid. A lot of things I like about him. Anthony Richardson, honestly, could be like Josh Allen. To me, Allen had the same issues with his accuracy when he came into the league, especially mid-range throws. That's Allen's weakness, is accuracy. Yeah, and by the way, when you're an inaccurate quarterback, it normally can't be fixed. This isn't something where like a lot of times you either are or you're not. It's very rare that a quarterback can go from being inaccurate to accurate, but it also is a lot of times just some minor tweaks. With Anthony Richardson, watch that video. For those of you, Gary, I dig through it on my YouTube channel. It's called "Is Anthony Richardson a first-round pick?" And I dig through some things in just one throw that he made, and kind of watch that video. But yeah, he's a guy that you gotta have the right NFL quarterback. It's more. What was it? God, what's the expression? A village makes a baby or something like that. But you really need so many external factors. He's got to go to the right place. He has to go to the right coaching staff. There's a lot of things that Anthony Richardson needs. Supermodel wife makes more money than you, Dan. If you have that, you cling on to her. See, I disagree completely. And I'll tell you why. Because Brady's a super multimillionaire. He doesn't need our money. And he's going to trade her in for a hotter, younger model. So I always disagree with that. Me and you have different philosophies on life, though. You're married with 14 kids. I date girls half my age. So, I mean, like you would definitely be a standby. You're a girl type of guy. Where me, I why not? After they get past the expiration date, just trade them in for a newer model. And that's what Brady's doing. So, could CJ Stroud drop to pick 20 in the first round? Dan, by the way, Giselle is gorgeous. Check out the new smoke show he's with. Giselle, yeah, she's great. Check out the new smoke show. Way hotter. Mazeman gets it. When you're an A+ guy like Brady, like me too. When you're an A+ guy like Brady, you can always go after younger. Look at Leonardo DiCaprio. He's a prime example. He dates supermodels till they hit 24, then he trades them in for a new one. You can do that when you're the best of the best. Al Pacino is dating like a 26-year-old supermodel. So, by the way, could he drop? Yes. Aaron Rodgers was going to go pick number 1. So, oh God, I heard about that. Yes. CJ Stroud could also drop to the Jets if they don't make the play. Absolutely. NFL draft's always weird. There's always a player who goes earlier. There's always a player who goes later. Men evaluate. Okay, we already talked. Tell them. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Here's the deal. And you don't get this because you're married and your situation. Here's the deal. It doesn't matter what a woman's worth because you never get that. Right? When they go out to eat, who do you think's paying? You think Giselle's like, oh, I'm going to pick up the check here. Oh, Tom, I'm buying you this. No. A girl's money's her money, but the husband's money's her money as well. Women, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what a woman's worth because, well, here's something you don't get because you're like, you don't ever want to date a woman who makes more than you because it changes power dynamics in a relationship and then she becomes the man. This isn't going to make a lot of sense. And also you're married, so you're in a different situation, but that to me doesn't mean anything because you're not going to get a dime of that. A king can marry a peasant, turn her into a queen, but a queen will never look at a peasant. Does that make any sense? I've been talking for almost 3 hours. I'm losing my voice. So, but just trust me. That means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Because you're not going to see a dime of it anyway. Unless Brady applies for alimony, he's not. She's got her new younger guy. And Brady, check out the smoke show he's with now, who's 20 years younger and hotter. So yeah. You get it. Mazeman gets it, man. Dan wishes he could play as women like he plays. Oh, that is awesome. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. Oh yeah. Oh God. I seriously, I'm like running on fumes here. I think after the NFL season, I'm going to go like a week without energy drinks, just get all this caffeine out of my system. Oh God, I seriously drank several cups of coffee and 2, 3 energy drinks a day, and I can tell it's having like weird effects on my body. So anyway, I'm gonna. And this is, by the way, such a great comment. This is such a great comment. I'm gonna wrap up, guys. If you haven't already, give me the thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. It means the world to me. Check out my video below. I pick every single game, and I give you the score prediction. Give you the score prediction. If you're paying the bills, dude, Amazement, you get it, man. If you don't follow me on social media, you need to follow me on social media, because what I don't post about football, you will 100% get. You will 100% get. Women's money means absolutely nothing. What matters is her youth and her beauty. You get it. Amazement gets it. Guys, give me a thumbs up. If you're new, this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out my picks video, and I'll see everybody back. And I will have a guest. We've just been tweeting like right before the show. I should have a guest on Friday. I'll make sure during the week before I put out the actual live stream. But I will see everybody back on Friday.